Welcome to a brand new week on the AM show. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us right here in the studios of Joy News. I'll tell you what, as we kickstart the day, this morning coming to work, I was listening to Perez Music's famous track, Mi Boba He, and it just encouraged me. So I searched 1 Chronicles 4 verse 10, and that's my prayer for you this week. As Jabez prayed, Lord, enlarge my territory. Let your hand be with me. Prosper me in everything I do. And that's my prayer for you this morning, that the Lord will enlarge your territory, your coast, that whatever you touch, you will have that Midas touch. It will turn to gold, and that the positives you're hoping to achieve this week, with God's grace, you will achieve them. That's my prayer for you. And if I heard an amen, then you have received that prayer. My name is Benjamin Akakpo. Thank you for joining. Now, coming up this morning, I'll be serving you the news shortly. And right after that, guess who joins us? Spokesperson on governance and security for this administration, Paul Grave Boachidankwa, is our guest. This will be followed by sports with Muftau Nabila Abdullahi. And then from there, we get into our big stories. Number one on the chopping block, of course, you know. We'll be heading into the Presidential Primary of the NPP, which took place last Saturday. And of course, Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia emerged winner of that election with over 61% of the votes. Now, he succeeds President Akufo-Addo, who can't compete again, having had 2 terms of office. Today, we'll be discussing that issue about what this represents. Is the NPP capable of breaking the 8? Joining us for that conversation, Professor Kobi Mensah. He's a political marketing consultant at the University of Ghana Business School. Dr. Michael Ayamga is a development economist and senior lecturer at the University for Development Studies in Tamale. They both join us on that beat. When it comes to our citizens' microphone this morning, we'll be heading to Kumasi as we gauge the mood in these regions following Dr. Bawumia's victory. Now, he was expected to get many more votes, and the Ashanti region stunned in some areas. So we'll be getting their views on how they think things went and what this means for the party come election 2024. On the final belt of the show, we're going to be contemplating the spillage of the Volta River, what it has meant for those along those communities, what the latest updates are. We'll bring you all of that on the show this morning. Don't you forget, get interactive with us. Let's know what you're thinking about the show and the matters we have lined up. Share your thoughts with us via the live stream. And when we activate the phone lines at the end of the show, be one of those to take advantage and give us a call. On that note, we settle for the news on the AM show up next. Time now for the AM News. Thank you for staying. In our first story, some delegates of the New Patriotic Party in the Ashanti region couldn't vote in the just-ended presidential primary due to challenges with the voters' register. Now, though some of the anomalies were detected 2 weeks earlier, efforts to rectify them yielded little results. Nanaya Ojima combed some polling stations and filed this report.
Delegates in the Asoka constituency were first to sound the alarm of missing names in the register a day before the polls at the Ashanti Regional Office of the Electoral Commission. Attempts to get the commission accept a supplementary register was denied. Head of the EC in the Ashanti region, Benjamin Banobio, directed constituency executives to channel their grievances through the party's election committee.
If they have anything to do, they need to trash it out with their National Election Committee. And then National Election Committee will get to the head office of the Electoral Commission. And then if there's anything to go by, head office will also inform us as to the next line of action. But for now, we are going to go ahead and have the election with the register that has been given to us.
On election day, names of about 40 polling station officers in the Asukwa constituency were missing from the register. One of the affected persons, Mr. J, said the challenge encountered could mar the election.
2 weeks to the poll, I got information that my name was not captured. My coordinator asked for my ID card to correct the anomaly.
I came here today to find out that my name was still not captured. In my polling station, 4 out of the 5 executives were not captured. This can negatively affect the election. In the Bosomtwe constituency, name of the Member of Parliament, Dr. Yao Osei Educhun, was missing from the voter register after close to an hour of deliberations to get National Party officials to resolve the issue. The MP was allowed to cast his ballot. Here is the MP's reaction after the issues were resolved.
No, I think it was a general issue that was quickly resolved by the headquarters, by the party general secretary through the AC and back to the region to Bosomtwe, so everything is good.
Issues of proxy voting became a challenge at the Menchia South constituency, but election committee member Gary Nimako insisted the voter register was credible. He refuted the challenges witnessed in some areas.
There's an original voter register. Your name will be there. You can go and check and you vote. You vote. I don't think so far where we've been, we have seen any mix-up or anything. We have not seen that. But if your name is not there, there's an original document there. You can look at the one and vote. Yeah.
Which one is the original register? Because yesterday I spoke to...
There are 3 registers. There are 3 registers. The one at the center, before you enter, there's one there to check. There's one in the midstream, and there's one at the EC. So which one, they say they can't find their names?
The one the EC is using, because yesterday, for instance, the Asokwa constituency, they went to the EC's office to get issues with the register resolved. Yes, for instance.
We just left Asokwa right now, and they are voting peacefully over there. We don't see anything problem in Asokwa. We just left there about 15 minutes ago. From Asokwa, we came here, and we didn't hear the complaint about anybody complain about voter register in Asokwa. So I'm surprised to hear this in here. I'm surprised. Yeah, we just came from Asokwa. Yeah. Yeah, so I think so far for me, it's been peaceful. It's been very orderly. Let's commend the police. Let's commend our delegates. So far, I think so far so good.
Though the issue caused tempers to flare among party members, the election in the region remained largely calm and peaceful. Reconciliation process for the party remains the major concern to many. Ejoso MP John Kuma spoke to Joy News.
We are very hopeful that the leadership of the party and the government will come together to resolve all the disagreements that we observed during the campaign. Of course, these things are normal when everybody is campaigning for power. So as long as we understand that we are one family, we will bridge the gaps and the bridges and then forge ahead. This is not the ultimate. This is just to pick a flag bearer.
Let's talk health now. Health officials are reporting alarming health concerns among residents in communities whose sources of water have been polluted by illegal mining. Now, tests conducted by health officials have revealed levels of heavy metals in the rivers and water bodies, casting a shadow of uncertainty over the fate of those affected communities. In the second part of our latest Hotline documentary titled Poisoned for Gold, Erastus Asaridonko reports that the rivers and water bodies that have sustained communities for generations are now battlegrounds of destruction, ravaged by the devastating consequences of illegal mining.
The milky brown color of the rivers and streams flowing across the country indicate suspended particles, including poisonous heavy metals. 2 years ago, residents of Ewusiejo in the Ahanta West district of the Western region were drinking the polluted water, but soon they started experiencing strange afflictions, as recounted by Theodora Yamwa, a nurse in charge of the town's CHIPS compound.
Some of them came here with frequent urinating and also burning sensation when they are urinating, and also some came with skin rashes.
We fetched samples from the Tano, Brim, Butre, Ofing, Anuru, Ankobra, Pra, and other polluted sources of water to be tested for heavy metals at the Sheath Laboratory of the KNUST's Chemistry Department. After a week of testing, the results were in.
For standard's sake, we use the World Health Organization standards.
The World Health Organization pegs the acceptable standard for arsenic at 0.0050 milligrams per liter, while the US and Ghana pegs it at 0.010 milligram per liter. The Oda, Brim, Pra, Ankobra, Enru, Ofin, Ashre, Butre, Subri, and Tano registered between 0.216 and 0.444 milligrams per liter, which is 0.434 milligrams higher than acceptable levels. This is 20.6 to 55.6% higher than acceptable levels in water using the American and Ghanaian standards. Dr. Eugene Ansa explains the test results.
All these water samples that are coming from our water bodies in Ghana were found to be acidic in nature, that is having a pH less than 7. It means that it has got a corrosive effect, and whenever you drink it, you have irritations. In the truth, drinking waters are expected to be neutral.
Now let's talk flooding. Residents of Germany in the South Dine district of the Volta region are worried that recent floods could impact their health negatively. This is because they continue to rely on water from the lake, which is contaminated with fecal matter and other harmful elements. Fred Kwame Asari now reports.
Following a rise in water level in the Upper Volta, about 18 communities in the South Dine district of the Volta region have been flooded. The entire market area in Germany has been taken over by the floods, crippling economic activities in the community. Some households, shops and sanitary facilities have been submerged by the flood. The Member of Parliament for South Dine, Roxanne Dapiamekbo, lamented the situation.
So we have a situation where two health centers are completely cut off. So essentially, I have been adversely impacted as a district. I have over 4,000 to 5,000 persons affected. I have about 300 homes underwater, and I have about 1,200 households affected. But above all, the Germany market, which is like the commercial heartbeat of the district, of the area, of the region, of the entire eastern hemisphere of the nation, is completely annihilated. You found Germany market in the streets and in the lorry parks. That isn't Germany market.
In a worrying development, the residents continue to rely on water from the lake, which is heavily contaminated. Our cameras caught some vendors using it to wash spices, while some residents were spotted fetching it home. Though the residents are aware of the health implications, they are compelled to use the water as they have no other source.
We did not have any safe water here for drinking. As you can see, the water is so much polluted that it is the same water that we are using for other activities in the community. Likewise, drinking, bathing and washing. And this water is not safe for human consumption. We have about 3 public facilities that has been submerged in this water.
Public toilets?
Public toilet, 3 that has been submerged in this water. And other household like trees that has been submerged. So, as you can see, we are not safe here.
Please,
Responding to the clarion call of the residents, Lions International presented some relief items to be distributed to the victims. Lion Prince Obin Dramina is the second vice district governor.
Broadly, we are a humanitarian service organization, and so when disaster happens, it falls directly under our purview. We've done some touring and we've seen the effect of the devastation that has happened. And so we're touched and we had to put our heads together and bring out some relief to the people of this community.
The little bit that we have given out. But we are appealing to all other communities, all other clubs, all other societies that if you have something to give out, please, the reality is there. The people are in distress. They need help.
Fred Kwame Asari, Joy News, Germany.
Now, the chairman of the governing council of the Simon Diedong Dombo University, Kweku Paintel, has expressed worry over the delay by government to release seed money to the university to enable it execute projects successfully. He wants government to swiftly release funds for stalled projects. Mr. Paintel made the appeal at the second congregation of the SDD UBITS in Wa. Rafiq Salam reports.
The Simon Diedong Dombo University of Business and Integrated Development Studies SDD UBITS was established in 2019 by an Act of Parliament, Act 1001, and came into being in May 2020 with its main campus at Wabamaho. The Act, which established SDD UBITS, mandates it to be an outstanding international acclaimed applied research and practical-oriented educational institution dedicated to the development of business and integrated development studies and related matters. The congregation therefore held at the university is its second since its establishment 4 years ago. A total of 1,513 students took part in the congregation and were conferred with diploma, degree, Master of Philosophy, and Doctor of Philosophy degrees. Chairman of the Governing Council of SDD UBITS, Lawyer Kweku Paintel, enumerated some successes chalked by the Governing Council of the university.
We have published an administrative manual for the smooth running of the administration of this university. We have a sexual harassment policy which should bring a lot of relief to both students and academia.
He used the opportunity to repeat his request for seed money for the university, which he first appealed to President Akufo-Addo at the investiture of the first Vice Chancellor of the university a couple of years ago.
Funds that are given to the university to overcome its infancy and to be able to stand upon its feet. We regret to bring to your notice that in spite of our valiant efforts, we have been unavailing to get these funds released to us.
Lawyer Paintel is therefore not oblivious of the challenges that the country is going through financially, but pleased that President Akufo-Addo should intercede on their behalf.
We appreciate and understand the precarious predicament of this country in terms of finances. We appreciate the competing demands on the public purse and wish to understand why maybe it has been late for us to get these funds. But like that Canaanite woman who came to Jesus, when she had asked for a favor.
Now, the principal of the Wenchi Agricultural College, Mohammed Abdullahi, has bemoaned the inadequate infrastructure of the school, which, according to him, is affecting the quality of education. The principal, who was speaking at the school's 4th matriculation ceremony, said the products of the college had what it takes to make government's flagship Planting for Food and Jobs Phase 3 program a success. And Asabit has more in this report.
Food and nutrition programs in schools can be effective tools to reach nutritionally vulnerable populations and have the potential to address the causes of hunger, malnutrition and food insecurity if designed in a comprehensive way. And as part of efforts aimed at addressing food insecurity, breaking the cycle of rural poverty by building synergies between agriculture and social protection policies, the government, through the Ministry of Food and Agriculture, established the Wenchi Agric College to provide students, particularly the youth, with the requisite theoretical and practical knowledge and skills needed to go into farming. Principal of the school, Mohammed Abdullah, at the fourth matriculation ceremony of the school, bemoaned the limited space available to accommodate more students in the school.
Our bigger challenge has to do with space. And so, when the interest among the youth is growing day in, day out, it is our expectation that the government, for that matter, and other developmental partners will do something to help us increase the facilities so that it will pave way for more of our intake going into the future. But I must say that the intake this year is quite impressive, and we hope to do better going into the future.
He is, however, hopeful that the trainees of the college who have garnered enough theoretical and practical skills have what it takes to make government's flagship PFG Phase 3 project a success, provided they are given the needed tools to work with.
Our trainees are basically the youth, and it is our expectation that when they complete from here, they will have been trained competently in these areas that the Planting for Food and Job Phase 2 is coming to address. And for some of them, when the skills and competences are attained, the next thing is what it takes to go into the field. So if this new phase is coming, if it is going to address the issue of capital or the facility for them to go onto the ground, I think it will go a long way to help them get engaged meaningfully into the field of agri after completion.
One of the major concerns raised by the authorities of the school has to do with encroachment of the school's land by private developers. Nifahene of the Wenchi Traditional Council, Nana Niama Amiao Kitiku II, promised that the traditional authorities are committed to ensuring that the school's land space is protected from encroachers.
When the school was established in 1964, they allocated about 8 acres. Now, as we stand, most of the land has been encroached, and we set up a committee to look into that.
And it's on that agricultural note that we cap off the news. But stay with us. Up next, we serve you the news review. Thank you so much for staying. Time now for us to get into the newspapers this morning. And I'll be telling you shortly who joins us for that conversation. But Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, if you've never heard of homeopathy, well, they're offering you solutions to myriad health issues. But they're offering free screening as far as your prostate is concerned if you're a man, and your fertility issues if you're a woman, for free, gratis. Here's where you can locate them across the length and breadth of Ghana. Here in Accra, they are located at Spintex, opposite the Shell signboard. There's also Kumasi Kronumabwe here behind the Angel Educational Complex. In Takrady, Anaji Estate is where you can find them. If you're in Tema, Community 22 is where they are located. There's also their Techiman Hanswa and the Siama and Zema branches. If you'd like to call them, and I highly recommend that you do, the numbers are 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. Joining us for the news review this morning, he's a stalwart of the New Patriotic Party. He himself wanting to become Member of Parliament. He's government spokesperson on governance and security. Paul Grave Wachidankwa is our guest. Fabume.
Benjamin, good morning.
Ishiayache.
Ampa.
And I know you've been mourning.
I have.
Your mom and all of that. Once more, our condolences.
Thank you.
And our regards to the family.
Thank you. Very grateful.
All right, so let's get down to it. Saturday was a momentous occasion for the New Patriotic Party, and you elected a flag bearer. We'll get into what kind of flag bearer, but what are your initial impressions of what happened on Saturday?
Benjamin, a very good morning to you and to your viewing public and to my constituents, the good people of Achimbu-Buakwa North. Saturday was a very victorious day, a very democratic day, a very decisive, concisive, keenly contested internal elections of the New Patriotic Party. I must first of all congratulate Alhaji Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia for convincingly winning the internal elections and becoming the flag bearer of the New Patriotic Party, and also to congratulate the Honorable Kennedy Akomprekun Ejapon for also doing a very, very, very good job, a stalwart of the New Patriotic Party, a consummate politician, maximum respect to him, to his supporters, to the people that believed in him, to congratulate the Honorable Engineer Adainimo, perfect gentleman, together with his wife, and to congratulate Dr. Efriye Akoto. I mean, for us as a New Patriotic Party, Saturday was a combination of diversity and unity and a forge ahead towards a journey of possibilities for the Ghanaian people. And we are in no doubt in our mind that as we forge ahead under the new leadership of Alhaji Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, Ghana is going to be great again with all the expectations and the desires that we so have for the good people of this country.
Now, you mentioned Kennedy Ejapon. Did you expect him to perform so well? In fact, the majority leader, Osaiche Mensah-Bonsu, was actually spoken to, and he expressed his shock about some of the votes that Kennedy Ejapon secured. Let's not even talk about that 700 and something to less than 100 spread in the central region. But in the Ashanti region, he performed so well, and you look at it, 30% plus thereabouts. Were you expecting him to perform that well?
Well, I didn't doubt the well-without of Kennedy Ejapon. I did expect that he would do well.
And by the way, I posed that question from the foundation just to clarify that many those in the Bawumia camp and many in the NPP have said he would get over 80%. In fact, one UK survey said he would get 80.8%. Then all those who came to the studio said over 70%. Honestly, I had shared somewhere that I felt he would get something around 60%, and that we're giving Kennedy too little credit. Indeed, he scored just around that. And that also ties with what Global Info Analytics gave us, which has been rubbished by the NPP, but they've been proven right. So in that context.
Well, I mean, I think that in going into electioneering, definitely there'll be polls that will come out. We are aware that elections are won on the very day that the voting is casted as people exercise their democratic rights and franchise. I mean, Kennedy Ejapon, the Honorable Kennedy Ejapon has been a member of parliament, the longest, obviously, understands grassroots politics, knows grassroots politics, has traveled the length and breadth of this country, campaigning. Likewise, Alhaji Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia from 2000 up until now, he's been a 4-time running mate, 2-time vice president. I mean, I'm not surprised. I mean, that Kennedy could pull such numbers, and you also are aware that in the lead up to this, I mean, all the persons that were supposed to stand, I mean, we had a few people who left out as well to start their own journey as it is to be able to impact the political polity in this country. But I think that as a party, we are united in our front. We are very aware of our foreseeable challenges in the future as we lead up into the 2024 general election. The victory messages that came from everybody was extremely, extremely encouraging. Forthright to be able to state that the elections were free, fair, conducted in a transparent manner, incident-free. Congratulated the EC for their outstanding support. Congratulated the police service led by the Inspector General of Police, Dr. George Akufu-Dampari. Exceedingly work that has been done. It has been one of the most peaceful internal elections of the New Patriotic Party and even of the Fourth Republic, and we are very pleased with that. But it goes to state that in politics, hard work pays off, and everybody has worked extremely hard. Everyone has worked extremely hard, and it's important that we congratulate everyone. Moving forward, obviously, you are aware that we have a nation to govern, and we have an election to win.
Okay, let me. I just want to quickly sneak this by you so that we get into the papers. After all, that's what we're here for. But I cannot have a stalwart of the NPP come and not, throw some of these by you. Two quick things. The last one would be to find out, your quest to become a member of Parliament. Where that is headed. But staying on Dr. Bawumia, some have said that he's the weakest ever candidate the NPP is going to field in an election in the Fourth Republic, the weakest ever. Already, some had said that all the four that had been fielded were the weakest crop that the NPP had ever fielded, and now they've selected one of them. What does that mean? And just look at it this way. He secures 61.4% of the vote, far below what anyone in the party had projected. On the other end, the person he's going to face, his main contender, John Dramani Mahama, secured 98.9% of the votes when the NDC had its Congress. Now, you put the two side by side. The NDC had about 355,000 plus delegates casting their vote, almost twice the number that you fielded. How do you do the math? What does that mean for you?
Well, I don't think that projections and opinions of persons on Alhaji Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia being a weak candidate is.
You don't think he's a weak candidate?
I don't think Alhaji Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is a weak candidate, and the data is there to prove. In 1992, Edu Buahine in the internal elections had 56.6%. John Ajekum Kufuor had 51.9% in 1996. Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, who is president of the Republic of Ghana in 2007, had 47.97%. In the history of this country and in the history of the New Patriotic Party, for a man who was not a career politician at the time when he was noticed, as deputy governor by the president, John Ajekum Kufuor, and to become a running mate of none other than Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, who is a career politician, to stand for the first time in an internal election to pull 61.4%. I think that is no weak at all. You talk about the NDC. NDC did not have an election. They had a referendum. Clearly, the NDC did not have an election.
He was contested.
Well, by
the former mayor of Kumasi.
That was almost a referendum.
What is that?
That was an acclamation. Even when in 2015, in the NDC primaries, John Dramani Mahama stood against No. No had 60,000.
Right.
People that rejected him within the NDC were 60,000.
What did he get at the end by way of the
applause? Yes, yes, of course, but it's also important to be able to mention that Alhaji Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia has put such a remarkable percentage.
61.4%.
I think it's a remarkable percentage. Remarkable percentage, and we need to be able to applaud him, applaud the campaign team, applaud every other person, applaud especially, for me, not singling out any other person, but Samia Wuku, an extreme perfect gentleman, done an extremely good work coordinating this entire campaign. I'm extremely pleased with the results, and everyone is extremely pleased with this results. It's never happened in the Republic of Ghana. It's never happened in a New Patriotic.
Can Dr. Bawumia win election 2024?
I believe so, that Alhaji Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia would win the 2024 general election and would bring this country on a journey of possibilities. We've just launched a journey of possibilities.
Right. The battle has been won. Now remains the war. The Ghanaian Times newspaper, NPP decides it's Dr. Bawumia as flag bearer of NPP for 2024 general election. President hands over NPP leadership to Dr. Bawumia, vows to ensure his election as next president. And to ensure his election as next president, is it in the bosom of the president, though, on the bosom of the ordinary voters of Ghana? Just thinking aloud. I'll be my own man in government, Vice President declares as he picks a baton to lead NPP. Nungwa Stool invites homeowners on Ajirigano and Bortiman lands to regularize documents following Supreme Court ruling. On the back page, Kotoko lose to Dreams FC at home. Charlie, what's up? Right now, the porcupine is getting, it's as though they were taking the pines off. And then the quails, actually. 10-man Mediama stun Legon cities. Karela and Hearts draw in Tamale. And there was also that on the international front, interesting draw. I think it was Luton Town with Liverpool. But let's get into the stories now. And think it's page 12 I have to go to for the first big one. Here we go, page 12. Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia was on Saturday elected flag bearer to contest on the ticket of the governing New Patriotic Party in the 2024 presidential election. He polled 118,210 of the 192,446 valid votes cast, representing 61.47% to beat his closest contender, Kennedy Ohene Ejapong, in the keenly contested election. Mr. Ejapong, Member of Parliament for Ashanti Central, garnered 71,996 votes, representing 37.41%, ahead of two other contenders, that is former Minister of Agriculture, Dr. Owusu Efriakoto, 1,459 votes, translating into 0.76%, and former MP for Mampong, Francis Adainimo, 781 votes, representing 0.41%. So there you go. The Ashanti Central MP, I called him the dark horse of the race, garnering almost 40% out of nowhere in there. There's also Parliament and NTC to deepen ties. And the head of the newly created Media Relations Directorate of Parliament, David Sebastian Damois, has called on the editor of the Ghanaian Times, David Agbenu. The visit is part of measures taken by the new directorate to further deepen the relationship between the legislature and the New Times Corporation, publishers of the Ghanaian Times and The Spectator. And let me also sneak in this bit before I come to Paul Gray for some remarks. Dr. Opuni trial, 7 cocoa regional managers lobbied for more liquid fertilizer. That's according to a witness. This happens to be a never-ending saga as far as the Lithovit cocoa bot saga is concerned. But in this latest development, Mr. Peter Ochre Boateng, the 7th defense witness, has told the Accra High Court trying the alleged cocoa bot financial loss case that all regional managers of 7 cocoa regions of the country lobbied for more supply of Lithovit liquid fertilizer. Of course, that backs what claims have been made by the accused. But that also brings me to an interesting point. The losses that CocoaBot has been incurring, I broke it down for you in my blunt thoughts a few weeks ago. Over the years, the wanton losses that it has been, bringing to bear. Who is going to account for that? Are we going to bring some accountability for that as well? Paul Grief, any remarks?
So clearly, the newspapers have said it all. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia has stated that he would be his own man. And when you follow through his speech, he launches a path for his vision. On page 13, he says that my vision is to build an inclusive, food self-sufficient, data-driven, system-based nation that will fully participate in the global digital revolution to solve our problems and also to usher in a golden age of benefits from our natural resources. I want to lead a nation that improves and unleashes the talent of our youth and offers good jobs with good pay and sustainable growth with macroeconomic discipline. I think that his speeches are well. Can I go on to the newspaper?
On the speeches, we all know that governance isn't by speaches. I just had to add
absolutely.
We've heard too much from politicians.
It's with NPP, substance and well without.
And what we want to see is the real thing on the ground. Politics, as far back as level 100 or 200 at the University of Ghana, it was clear. In political science class, political parties seek to secure power so that they can actually bring development, so that they can propagate the ideas they have espoused. But we all know that, especially on this continent, work or what is said versus the work on the ground are huge.
Well, I think that Benjamin, one of the things that is important to also highlight is that until a vision is written on a paper, it cannot be implemented.
Oh, really?
That's key. You must be able to let your vision be written on a paper, clearly understood by people to carry on. Even the good book says that. Write your vision on the tablets of paper so people can see it and run with it.
Yeah, the good book also talks about planning
politics,
and the fool who starts putting up stuff without having the wherewithal to complete it. That is also relevant.
Yeah, I don't doubt that. But much as politics is not about speeches, politics is also about making sure that you are cutting a clear path of vision, and we cannot discount that.
Abbas Abdallah
if you want to be able to know that.
Comes here with this comment. He says, mere speeches aren't what we need. at the moment.
Well, he will
Go
deliver
ahead.
on his promise. Can I go on to the newspaper
Yes,
review?
please do.
Okay, the Daily Guide. Bawumia leads NPP, grabs 61.47 votes. On the front page of the Daily Guide as well, I have my own vision NPP flag bearer. And 432-kilometer road in Volta, unprecedented. Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. At the back page, Jordan sets EPL record, and Nima School crowned NFL flag champions. I think that Abedi Pele Ayew celebrated a birthday over the weekend. So the Daily Statesman.
You know, he's Africa's first, oftentimes when we talk about the Ballon d'Or and all of that, at his time, I believe, with Olympique Marseille, when they took the European gold, he was the first to place in the top 10 in terms of the FIFA rankings. I think he placed 9th. And it's worthy of note. In recent times, I've seen a lot of talk about Mane, Salah, Eto'o, and all the others, Drogba and co, who are featured in the top 10. It's also worthy of note. And he took the African best player back-to-back 3 times.
No, he's done exceedingly
amazing
well.
character.
We must commend him, and he's been able to keep a high level of integrity, I mean, after his football career. The Daily Statesman. NPP has a place for all. Flag bearer Bawumia seeks unity towards victory in 2024. Can others pledge full support? And I mean, you know, this
was beautiful, though.
This front page,
it ought to be
very, very beautiful. I mean, and he calls everyone from all sectors of the Ghanaian economy, from the civil service, from the public service, from the civil society organization, from the business community, from intellectuals, from technocrats. He calls all. And the amazing thing is that he calls Gen Z, the millennials. He calls them that NPP has a place for all. On the front page of the Daily Statesman,
the Gen Zs are interested in jobs, though. It's not.
Of course. I mean, the vice president.
It's jobs.
The vice president was not blinded to that.
Let me tell you something. Sometimes I think of the politics in our country, and this comes to mind. And I'll just share it with you. If the NPP takes it up, all well and good. I feel we've got to the point where the people don't want too much talk. Do you know, in jurisdictions where politicians deliver, you don't need to talk too much. I feel in this country, looking at where we are economically with Galamsey and all of that, me, if any leader were able to come and even maintain the status quo in the economy and other things, but Galamsey get rid of what we are facing and get certain things done on that front alone, that person would secure my vote. And many people, I speak to people from CSOs, ordinary people, you know, the elite and all of that, they say, we just want someone to come who will live up to expectation. If you do the right things, honestly, you probably don't.
Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is that right? No, Benjamin, you leave off talking. You leave off talking as a journalist.
I live off talking facts.
Yes, of course.
I live off talking
Of course.
Independent.
Of course.
That's what we do.
But I tell you of a truth. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is the right person who will leave his talk. That's an honest truth. He would leave his stock. He's not blinded to all the challenges that we're going through as a country. On the front page of the Daily Statesman as well, security experts cautioned on conflict commentaries, and President touts unprecedented 432-kilometer roads constructed in the Volta region. This is a very nice job. The custodian.
You should.
I like their tagline.
You like the job, eh?
No. I like the tagline of the custodian.
Okay.
Fearless, fair, and reliable.
I see. Okay.
The custodian. On the front page of the custodian, it's confirmed Bawumia versus Mahama in 2024 showdown. On the front page of the custodian as well, the NPP election was free and fair. Kennedy Ejepong. On the front page as well, Akufo-Addo sets record in Volta region. 432 kilometers of roads constructed, unprecedented. And Dr. Mustafa Abdul Hamid, the NPA boss, CRM to improve LPG access and prevent accidents. And Gwel MD grabs Lifetime Achievement Award. Benjamin, I think I'm done. Over to you.
I just have an interesting question for you. Some discussions that arose on the back of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia's win. Of course, we know Alan recently, he had his young caucus, come together, all of them in something looking like yellow or orange, maybe Afafranto colors, and, the monarch butterfly. And he appears to also be doing his thing. Like it or not, it's going to take votes away from both the NPP and the NDC, but more from the NPP. He's from your stock. You can't run away from that. Some have also said that even more disastrous would be the instance where maybe Alan and Ken team up. Do you see that happening ever? Possible?
I don't think that is ever going to happen, Benjamin. I mean, because clearly from the Saturday victorious, November 4th victorious win for the New Patriotic Party, and it's an inclusive win, collective win, we noticed that every single person that was on the ballot for the November 4th election, from Honorable Kennedy Japon, who was the first on the ballot, to the Vice President, Alhaji Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, who was the second on the ballot, to Dr. Freya Koto on the third of the ballot, and then Adainimo on the fourth. All four of them were on the stage when the Electoral Commission had to come and declare the results.
All four of them also re-echoed what Alan had said. Hold on. Re-echoed what Alan had said. In fact, in recent times, there was an interview with Dr. Freya Koto. Elton John Brobe did that. Manipulation, intimidation, using money to buy delegates, so to speak. All of them also mentioned that. You know that.
Benjamin, you are talking about something that happened in the past. I am talking about something...
You've automatically moved...
Not at all. But I'm talking about something that happened on Saturday. Just this Saturday. These four persons, including Alhaji Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, pledged that the biggest opposition that we have is the NDC to win the 2024 general election. The Honorable Kennedy Japon pledged his full unrelenting support for the flag bearer of the New Patriotic Party, pledged as well that that showdown that must be given to the NDC. And it's instructive for me to state that in the speech of Alhaji Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, he says that, and I think that this is important, on page 16, he says, breaking the eight is not about partisanship, but about patriotism and knowing that Ghana deserves consistency, focus and follow through, not political bickering and division. And he says, we will break the eight in unity, we will govern in unity, because regardless of the margin of our victory, we govern for and in the interest of 100% of Ghanaians. And I think that this is key. This is extremely key.
Right.
That all these persons have pledged their support. So for anyone to want to project and assume that the Honorable Kennedy Japon would be joining the movement of the butterfly, I think that falls
all right.
on dead ears.
Because of time, Eduku Biapol says, tell the one in your studio that a gallon of petrol is now, the price of a liter of petrol is now what used to be a gallon of petrol. I think that is what he's saying. And of course, I'm sure he's very much aware of it. What the cost of a gallon of petrol was is now close to what a liter is in Ghana. Bawumia makes history and NPP obtains highest endorsement for any first-time flag bearer aspirant. 432 kilometers of roads constructed in Volta region, unprecedented. President Akufo-Addo says so. NPP can never be tagged as an Akan party. Justin Kodria Frimpong says so. And then shortcut for Agenda 111 Hospital in Adenta Municipality. I'll be going there for sure. And embrace CRM to prevent accidents and improve LPG access. NPA boss says so. So, rise to the occasion and stop blaming politicians. USAID also says that the United States Agency for International Development has called on Ghanaians to take up the challenge of ensuring they achieved the desired transformation in their communities and not blame political leaders for their developmental challenges. It said, despite the many projects and development interventions in the country, there was no significant impact on society, quote, because most times we think that it is somebody's responsibility to do it. Mr. Paul Napari, the Agreement Office's representative of the USAID, or Ghana Strengthening Accountability in Ghana's Educational System activity, made the call in during the regional launch of the USAID's SAGES activity. But then that also brings me to this interesting subject. In recent times, we've had the head of the Ghana AIDS Commission, Dr. Treme Etiahene, in the studio, and he's in the papers today. HIV/AIDS donor support drops 75%. We need help from the private sector. Of course, he sat right here in the studio, told me about concerns with what government is giving them, how it's impacting what, how it is letting a lot of people who perhaps don't even know they have it, they're just out there unwittingly or wittingly spreading it, how some people who should be coming are not coming on the back of some of these challenges. So private sector, this is another call. While we plead for you to support those who are affected by the spillage, HIV/AIDS is also on the rise. There's a spike. If you can help in that direction, the Ghana AIDS Commission is calling on you. NPP can never be tagged as an Akan party. Justin Kodia says so. And he says the NPP has made history by electing Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, a non-Akan, to lead the party into the 2024 general election as its flag bearer. Okay. I think I'll reserve my comments on that. Any quick thoughts on any of the stories we've done?
Well, I mean, Benjamin, it's clear that the new patriotic party is forging ahead on a strong journey of possibilities. It's also very clear that once we are done with our primaries, we have a clear leader, which is Alhaji Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, to lead the party into victory. We also have some more internal elections to do. Our parliamentary elections is just staring at us. Over the next few months, you will realize that often constituencies would be going into their primaries to select the candidates for the parliamentary in 2024, and then also places with sitting MPs as well will be going into an election in February 2024. And I mean, I would be also putting myself up on that journey of possibilities with the good people of Ibuakwa North. And my prayer and hope is that with all the conversations that I'm having with the overwhelming number of 524 delegates, they will vote and consider me as their next representative in the 9th Parliament, where it's going to be an extremely engaging Parliament to make the laws and implement government policies and ensure that this government strives on.
All right, the Ghanaian publisher, the only one I'll single out, election was free and transparent. That's according to Kennedy Ejapon. I'll leave it there and just wrap with this bit. I'm going to get on Kolebu. Last week, Friday, my focus was on Kolebu for my blunt thoughts. The former Kolebu CEO, page 6 of the Daily Guide, brings relief to patients. Dr. Felix Anyai, former chief executive of the Kolebu Teaching Hospital, has made a generous donation of 100,000 Ghana cedis to settle bills of new mothers and sick babies. This kind gesture is aimed at helping patients in the maternity and children's departments who are struggling to pay their medical bills. But having said that, have you used the road from the FTC to the roundabout through ICGC, towards the Bukom boxing arena, in fact, right in front of Kolebu, there's a crater in front of Kolebu. I spoke about this on Friday because if you have an emergency and even an ambulance is taking you on that stretch, you could die before you get to the hospital. The roads are terrible through Abosokai all the way going. The renal department, do you know it was shut for 5 months? Because of a lack of 4 million Ghana cedis. That's only 8 V8 vehicles, the one your political friends like to ride. Where do we prioritize? And there's equipment at Kolebu, the 640 slice machine, $1 million, one of only 3 in Africa. Another equipment costing 1.5 million, some $100,000. They've broken down, they offer core services. They've broken down, some for 2 years, some for about a year, some for many months. No one is paying attention to them, and people are going to these places. Mind you, people come to Ghana for medical tourism. In fact, the UGMC that we keep talking about refers people to Kolebu. So you see why sometimes some of us get, quote unquote, angry about systems. Because for some small lapses, someone will go and die a death that was not his or her death. That's the final point I want you to, in some 30 seconds, and then
Well, in 30 seconds, there's not much I can say than to say that I'll get my briefs on Kolebu and
So actually, I'm telling you this so that as your government's spokesperson,
absolutely.
I called on the roads minister.
I'll get my briefs.
Please put in a word.
I'll get my briefs and come and report to you and the Ghanaian people.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ben.
Paul Grave Wachidankwa, who joined us for this review, is government spokesperson on governance and security. But to wrap, Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic is offering you, if you're a man, if you're hitting 35, 40, I started many years ago. Have you checked your prostate? Go and ask KSM. He was on we're coming out with something on the prostate. And he came here on my show and shared it. Don't play with your prostate. If you're a woman, do you know what is going on as far as your fertility is concerned? That's why you ought to make your way to Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. You can locate them here in Accra at Spintex opposite the Shell signboard. Kumasi, Kronoma here behind the Angel Educational Complex. Takrade Anaji State Tema Community 22. Techiman Hanswa and Esiama and Zama. You should give them a call on these two numbers. 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. Thank you for joining. Up next, we have a serving of sports, a lot of action both locally and externally, and of course the African Club Championship as well. Mamelodi Sundowns losing 2-1 in that first leg. But what will happen in the second leg, only time will tell. More in sports up next. Just a few days ago, specifically Saturday, the New Patriotic Party went for its National Delegates Congress. It was an attempt to elect a flag bearer for the party going into election 2024, which they succeeded at doing. Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia becoming the standard bearer, if you like, for the political party going into that election. In fact, interestingly, the current president handing over the baton, so to speak, to Dr. Bawumia. But what does this portend for the New Patriotic Party in terms of its electoral fortunes going into next year? Is this the team, at least with the flag bearer, that can break the 8? We've put that question out there on social media, Joy News on Facebook this morning, asking you, can Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia lead the NPP to break the 8? Share your thoughts with us. But for now, in the studio, we're going to have a conversation on that, the wider issues and the narrow issues. Joining us as guests, Professor Kobi Mensah. He's a political marketing consultant with the University of Ghana Business School. We also have Dr. Michael Ayamga, a development economist and senior lecturer at the University for Development Studies in Tamale. Gentlemen, good morning.
Morning, and thanks for having me.
All right. Dr. Ayamga, I would ask that you just hold on for me. Professor Kobi Mensah is a bit tied up this morning, pressed for time. So I'm going to expend a bit of time on him and then let him go. Then I'll come to you, Dr. Ayamga. I hope that's okay with you, sir.
That's good.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Prof, initial thoughts on everything that happened on Saturday. So I'm starting from a very wide area before we narrow it down to the crucial issues. What was your impression of the Congress of the NPP?
Thank you. And thanks to Dr. Ayanga for giving me the platform. I have a class at 8, so I had to run. Okay, no, so generally, of course, the party has done well. The organization, I think, very much went better than the superdelegate elections way back in August. So you would say that the party structures had perhaps learned one or two from the lot of complaints that actually came after that particular elections. So, of course, in terms of the organization, you would actually give them a pass for that. But the things surrounding the entire organization, obviously, there had been quite a lot of criticisms about the strategy in terms of deciding to do it, center by center, as opposed to pulling them together in a convention, which most people have actually expressed opinions on that, including the candidate themselves. Because then it allows room for certain, intimidation. I mean, there are some constituencies that you saw almost nothing, or not almost nothing, but nothing for the other contestants. But, Dr. Bawumia, for example, sweeping the entire slate in those constituencies. That actually speaks to you that people are under certain coercion to express their political views in a certain manner. especially when you group them in that constituency by constituency basis. So perhaps they have to look at that. That's a bit of a criticism that most people
But pressure or not, it was a secret vote, and the people could have expressed their opinion, as we saw them do in some interesting cases in the Ashanti region and in the Central region. So what then? Was that?
You would think that's the case. Ideally, you would think that's the case. But of course, internal party structures are completely different. I mean, these people are easily, targeted, unlike national elections where you could say that there are some floating voters here and there, so you wouldn't be able to even gauge because it's a secret ballot. But when it comes to party elections, almost everybody knows everybody, just like a small community, a village community. And so people know who is Alan Backes, people know who is Kennedy Japan Backes, people know who is Baumia's Backes. And so with that particular foreknowledge, you would know that perhaps if you vote according to or not according to what the pressures want you to do, then you are easily targeted and identified. And that's why we say that doing it center by center is not an ideal position, is not a suitable position to remove the political pressures on people. But having said that, the vote itself is quite interesting. If you look at Baumia's 61% against the touted 75, it was highly publicized that he was going to get 75 and above. Some people had even stated that if he gets anything beyond 75, that's not a good poll, all right? But of course, the evidence is that he got 61. And then Kennedy Japan, who people didn't really think from where he was coming could pull that much, he got 37.
And some had said the projections were that he would even struggle to get between 20 and 25%. He got over 37%, almost 40%.
Absolutely. And then let's break up the vote itself. I mean, in marketing, we have something called market share. If you go to the market and you look at the total pool of the market size, we look at the share that you have. But in this case, in the Baumia's case, for example, we can actually align it to what we call co-branding, right? If you have a very huge machinery behind you, like the office of the president, which everybody knows, you have so many, parliamentarians leading the Baumia's campaign. You have almost all the state, officers or the most important personalities in the party leading Baumia's campaign. That's a huge coalition that you have. So such a size of a coalition can produce 61%. Then you would have to ask yourself, which part of that 61 is actually the contribution of Baumia's own strength? So for me, I look at it as a very reduced legitimacy, and rather legitimacy swings to Kennedy Japan's side. Of course, you could also argue that his backers could be a coalition of his own strength, plus Alan's backers, because they had actually come out. But of course, they have to vote. So they might have actually pledged their support, logically to Kennedy Japan, for example. So I find it very interesting knowing the true strength of Dr. Bawumia, given that he has a very huge, large, coalition, very powerful coalition behind him, and he could only pull, 61%. Quite interesting there. So you realize that the legitimacy itself is actually behind Kennedy Japan. He has a huge stakes now. If you're talking about, the big weights in NPP, you cannot discount Kennedy Japan, for example, now.
Now, looking at the voting pattern across the regions, we saw some shocking events in the Ashanti region where people, swung wildly for Kennedy Japan. In fact, the majority leader himself conceded that some of the votes took him by surprise in the Ashanti region because it was supposed to be a done deal for Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Same happened in the central region, where in some instances the spread was almost 700 for Kennedy Japan. But on the back of the polls, the votes he secured, what does this really mean in terms of the unity of the NPP? After this, they said, and we are united and we are forging ahead. In fact, Kennedy Japan said, let me just find, election was free and transparent. That was what Kennedy Japan said. The prelude to that, in the prelude to the election, we had Boachi Jakon, the likes of Dr. Friya Akoto, the likes of Francis Adainimo, Kennedy Japan himself, Alan Tremating, saying this process has been rigged, it's manipulated, it is influencing people in a certain way, and it's not going to be fair. On the back of all these dynamics, Alan has formed his movement. Ken has run this two-horse race, if you like, and come out proving a point. Where does that leave the NPP in terms of unity and possibly breaking the 8?
Well, of course, you can actually explain or analyze the unity in terms of two folds. One, of course, usually post-election unity is as a result of the behavior of the candidates themselves. So if the candidate had actually or had demonstrated anything contrary to their acceptance, then of course you could actually see the fragility in the rank and file of the NPP. Well, fortunately for them, the main protagonist seemed to have accepted the leadership or the winning of Dr. Bawumia, for example. So you would not really see it from the top, and you would not see an ostensible, kind of disunity, amongst the party folks, because the key protagonists have actually accepted, and so you wouldn't see that. But the other side of it is about the harboring of disunity or unhappiness or the apathy from the part of the followers themselves, whether if their leadership had actually accepted it, whether they personally would accept it, that's a different kind of conversation. And that is what usually leads to party apathy, that the supporters do not come out to vote. Now, I ask myself, if people had been so coerced, influenced with money, which ostensibly was on the TV screens, in radio, a lot of people seem to have been hugely influenced by what they call TNT. Now, in the general election, I don't think there's going to be any TNT for anybody. So if the parties themselves have actually sort of undermined their own authority by giving people TNT to motivate them to come to the vote, to what extent would they stay out or be apathetic to the process during the 2024 December election? So that is very, very crucial, because you have motivated people to come to vote for you. Would they have come if you hadn't actually given them money? Perhaps yes, because the majority of them expressed disappointment not even having money in the first place, or some of the money in the first place. That tells you that, yes, we can talk about unity in the universal sense, i.e. the leaders have accepted, everybody seems to be hunky-dory going on. But in the heart of the supporters of the people, if they hadn't been motivated by money, perhaps they wouldn't have come. So what would be the attitude towards the NPP's own voting counts of voter share come December 2024? That's very crucial for them.
Now, let's look at the fragility, how weak Dr. Bawumia is, because some have painted the picture that, look, Kennedy Japan came out of nowhere, was a dark horse, and he secured almost 40%. Of course, you put that side by side with John Dramani Mahama in his internal election, securing about 98.9% of the vote. And some are projecting that Dr. Bawumia is a weak candidate because of the baggage he comes with, because of this performance, which was not foreseen by the party, because all, like you mentioned, all of those we interacted with from the party, whether from his camp or otherwise, said he wouldn't secure anything less than 70%. 61% was what he secured. Now, could it be that from where you sit, you're thinking the party has fought the battle, or Dr. Bawumia has won the battle, but in terms of winning the war, it could be far more problematic?
Absolutely. I mean, I see it as a very weak legitimacy, because obviously we have, that level of expectation for him. And as I said earlier, look at the giant leading the campaign. Usually when we're doing political campaigning, we have a certain, candidate or a certain personality, although they may not be the candidate themselves, but they whip votes to your direction. I mean, my own PhD actually sits on NPP strategy in 2000 elections. And so we looked at what we call the homeboyism kind of idea, to see the pillars that actually went on to kind of mobilize support for the candidate. That also is a factor in your winning. So if you look at the kinds of endorsers who actually followed Bawumia's campaign and make sure that they could articulate his appeal to the voters or to the delegates. And then you see, other people who hadn't actually had that kind of endorsement, and still he came out with 61%. I think it's quite interesting to note that it's a very reduced legitimacy, and that's why we're talking about the idea that he hasn't had an absolute grip over the party. Now, whether that would actually spell disunity, I don't think so, because as I already said, the leadership had actually accepted his leading of the party. But as to whether that would reflect in the vote, it's questionable. I mean, in terms of the broader, legitimacy that he couldn't actually secure, when his own team have touted 75 plus, or at least 75, and that disappointment had been expressed by the majority leader, and not only him. I know quite a lot of people, prominent NPP people, being parliamentarians or party folks, who had led this campaign, had believed that in their constituency they're going to whitewash the competition, but it never happened. And I'm sure that inside the campaign they're very disappointed, and they're looking at its possible implication on his leadership, and then in December election next year.
Just to leave you with these, because I know you have to go in the next 2 to 3 minutes. You talk about a reduced legitimacy for Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, but to be fair to him as well, you would also notice that you can even say he's the strongest of the weakest, in the sense that for first-time contenders, those who are, engaging in the primary, the presidential primary for the first time, this is the highest any of those have got in the NPP. So you can give him that. But the two questions I'll throw at you. What if there were an Bawumia Kennedy Ejapong pairing for election 2024? Would that put the NPP in a better stead to break the 8? And then again, Justin Frimpong Kodua, the general secretary of the party, has said the NPP can never be tagged as an Akan party on the back of the election of Bawumia. Does this make that assertion correct with the selection of Dr. Bawumia?
Well, let me give you an insight in my own PhD. As I said, my PhD is very much sits on NPP strategy in 2000 election, very much the same framework. When you're going into elections, you have at least 3 elements. You have your presidential candidate, you have your policy, you have your party, representing the brand, the political brand of the political party going forward. So you're not only looking at the strength of the candidate and perhaps the possible vice candidate, but you're also looking at the strength of your policy brand, all right, which is your policy credibility, the policy types, and what the target markets are for those policies. You're also looking at the brand of the political party, whether the political party has established track record that on the foreground of the people's thinking could actually influence. The influencing factor is only the candidate's strength, but these 3 basic strengths, all right? Now, if you take the NPP currently as we speak, nobody would tell you that they have policy brand strength, all right? That policy brand strength has been reduced because of their own promises that they gave in 2016, 2020 elections that they didn't deliver. So policy credibility perspective, they're weak there. I would be surprised to find that Ghanaians will really believe in total, like the policy promises that the NDC would offer. That's NPP would offer. That's a challenge. Now you have also the party's, profile. Now the party's profile usually is actually taken from where the party originally came from, its traditions, its history, its ideology, and whether those can actually, present quite a brand strength to pull the vote. And then, of course, you can talk about the candidate's character in terms of its believability, in terms of its approachability, in terms of its ideological basis. All these ones come to mind. I mean, I think, going forward to this campaign, of course, we're not discussing NDC, but we can make comparison and then compare that with also Allen, for example, who is actually going independent. Now, I think that the NPP has the issue with the policy credibility brand issue. They have a candidate problem they have to fix because their candidate is not the one that voters believe in. I'm sure a lot of Ghanaians will tell you, and what they have actually branded him as. And then, of course, you have the party track record. Perhaps the party track record could help, but there are current, factors that would remind, voters whether the party has a credibility or not. So I think that they are going into this election in a very weak position.
All right. And the Akan party tag, does this wipe it away?
Well, I think that Justin Kodia was wrong. Of course, well, he could have actually misspoke because he used Akan to represent Ashanti as opposed to the totality of the Akan people. But I had always argued that's not the main case. I mean, if you look at our political history, we do not have divisions in terms of geographical divisions or culturally, etc. NDC had gone on to present South-South tickets on a number of occasions, and they've won. It is because of the perception of Akanistic on NPP. It's because of their own behavior. I have almost said every time that why would the finance minister keep on naming its budgetary, brand name with Akan name? What do you call? They call something Obatampake, and another time they put another Akan name on it. These are the behaviors that people are interpreting and say you are too Akanistic. It's not because you presented or not a certain party leader. Again, I have said that most of the time when you meet NPP people in a gathering, they're most likely to speak Twi than English. Whereas when you go to NDC, it is not. These are to look at. And then, of course, the appointment. If you check the appointment of Nadmo, you would hear a lot of Akan-sounding names than the other tribes. These are not my words. If you go and check my transcript with some of the party top weights way down in 2008 when I did my data, these are some of the things that they themselves referred to. The reasons why Jacob Echebilamte would want to bring in quite a lot of people of other sounding names at the forefront of every press interaction, and actually feel the NPP's press interaction with lots of women were because to reduce the certain perception. And when they won in 2000, they went back on their own framework and started doing things differently. That is what is actually affecting people's perception of the NPP as Akanistic, not because they hadn't had a leadership of a certain extraction, as you would call it.
Prof, we're so grateful for your time. We've stolen a few more minutes than we planned, but thank you so much.
Sorry about that. Yeah, we'll talk again.
All right.
Thank you.
And that is Professor Kobi Mentor of the University of Ghana Business School. Let's now move on to Dr. Michael Ayamga. Doc, once more, thank you so much for being patient with us. From where you sit, how would you assess the happenings of Saturday as far as this presidential primary of the NPP is concerned? If you look at the numbers in there, the greatest numbers of delegates coming through from the Greater Accra region with over 39,000 voters, then the Ashanti region with 35,000. It continues like that, Eastern, Central, Western. But were there any surprises in there for you in terms of the voting patterns?
Yes, thank you, Ben. Good morning. I think Professor Mensah did a lot of justice to some of the issues that you put forward there. And most important is the legitimacy behind Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia going forward. He's now facing some headwinds in terms of projecting himself. I think that the vice president, as it stands now, lacks the legitimacy to lead. If 40% of your own party think that you do not deserve to be president of this country, you do not deserve to be a presidential candidate, taking that message to the wider electorate is only going to spell disaster. I'm in northern Ghana here, and I can tell you that the news of his election is already stale. There is no excitement behind the election. When you are speaking to people in the NPP, there is this inward inner dissatisfaction and apprehension with their choice. Definitely, as Professor Kobi said, you more or less saw state choreographed elections. There was a certain
what did you just call it? State choreographed elections. State choreographed elections. Is that what you said?
Yeah, that's what I said.
Why do you say that?
Everything was done to make sure that Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia emerged. There was certain fear that he wasn't going to emerge. On weekend, I was on TV, local TV here in Tamale with the Chancellor of Saudi Arabia, I think Masine Secondary School, Kamaldeen. And he said that they had felt some fear in themselves, and he had to go down to his community in Nanton to ensure that things went the way they were expecting, because he was supporting Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia. So you can understand the apprehension, the fears. Some people have to do something to ensure that what the people wanted to project doesn't come to pass. So that is the problem we are confronted with here. 40% is no small number. It now means that the machinery, state machinery, the election machinery that was immersed in the Bawumia campaign has to sell him, resell him, rebrand, repackage him to Ghanaians. And given the baggage on Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, he is not going to excite anybody. I always say that Professor outlined his 3 Ps. I have my own 3 Ps about the ability to the candidates to bring back the electorate to the party. And first, they have to do with the personality or the people. And then the vice president comes across as someone who has lost credibility in terms of his ability to transform his speech into action. And you also have to look at the powers. The NPP has naturally been a duopoly between Buzia and Dankwa factions of the party, even though it's not explicitly stated. It is an unwritten convention that more or less supersedes their constitution. That is why after 2007, when Alan Chimantin was very strong, very popular, many people bought his message. The internal structures of the NPP ensured that candidate Akufo-Addo emerged then. Even in the build-up to these elections, you heard slogans like Adrumisu and all other things. That Adrumisu was driven by the internal convention of the NPP that is a duopoly between a Buzia and Dankwa tradition. As for the Dombo that they are now trying to ascribe to them, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, which is not actually the case, it's just a side dish or a dessert after the meal has been eaten. So you realize that the claim of Justin Code, the General Secretary, should add that the NPP is not an Ashanti party is probably a misunderstanding of the protest of the Dankwa faction, the Buzia faction. They have gone massively for Alan Chimantin in dissatisfaction to the attempt to thwart and distort the internal harmony, the unwritten code that has been governing the NPP internal elections for several years now. And they're now getting up and trying to say that they have to get, let's say, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia. Many people know, many people know that Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia is Akufo-Addo Tete, and that the powers that he draws are firmly rooted in the circles and in the structures that brought President Akufo-Addo to power, and that has anchored him in government so far. So he's more or less another Dankwa faction of the party going in the name of the Dombo faction of the NPP, which is the weakest and probably the most lame structure in the party. So if you look at these things going forward, you have to get worried. Then thirdly, the third P is the performance. People don't want us to talk about it. They say it is a debate for another day, but the debate is now. The performance of the NPP, whose economic management team has been led by Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, is disappointing. He is on record to have said that you cannot, currencies depreciate when the fundamentals are weak, and that you cannot borrow in this manner. That manner he was referring to was 122 billion when he inherited from President John Dramani Mahama.
Right.
As we speak, he took it all the way to 575 billion. That is almost $50 billion. If you look at it, how much has he added? 80% to the debt stock. That record is not something you can sell. He talked about inflation. He took an inflation of about 13.3%. And when we were talking last year, it was about 54% somewhere. We are talking about 38 point something percent as we sit now. That is several multiples of what he inherited. He also, in that same interview, let me add, talked about that you cannot print money and expect the economy to be okay. In 2016, there was zero financing of government budget check. As part of the IMF program that the NDC ascribed to, there was zero financing of the central government. As we speak, as of last year, this government borrowed from the central bank to the tune of 45 billion Ghana cedis. That is the record. You want to talk of employment? When he left office, President John Dramani Mahama gave him an unemployment figure of 13.3%. Last year, the Ghana Statistical Service said 1.7 million people were unemployed. That is a very huge number. I should say he got 5.1% unemployment from John Dramani Mahama. Last year, it was 13. So if you look at everything that you ought to take to elections, what made Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia an exciting candidate then, now is very abysmal. He can't sell that record. You look at everything from the institutions, they are weak. And people like to avoid it, but I say it as it is. You see, he brings on board certain constituencies in northern Ghana. I agree that he may keep the northeast, where he comes from, in play for the NPP, because that was going to slip away if he had not emerged candidate. I think President Akufo-Addo carried the region by some 10,000 votes, which I think, given that the vice president was coming from that region, it was already an indictment on him. But he will keep that in play. But he also takes away the significant votes from the stronghold of the NPP, which is the Ashanti region. And the numbers coming in, if you are me, you will get worried. We have always talked about the religion factor from the point of inclusion, that it has almost become a cliche that you get a Southern candidate, you get a Muslim Northerner. So religion plays a central role in our election. It has been the vice presidency. Now it is going to go into the presidency. That debate is being transported to the presidency. And you have to ask yourself, how is the largely Christian South going to accept him? It has always been putting a number 2 as a Muslim so that the largely Muslim North will accept. How is it going to play? We already know that that is going to be a very serious sell to many.
Right.
And that is why you see Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia trying to be a Chrislam, which is a meaningless word.
Let's look at this interesting bit. I'll get into the Ashanti and Eastern regions, pillars for the NPP in any election and the voting patterns there. But on that same point, in terms of the baggage that Dr. Bawumia comes with, you look at, again, the projections. So Nana Komia, for example, predicted, he said Dr. Bawumia would go beyond 75% on November the 4th. Then there was also the projection by Samir Uku, who managed his campaign. Any poll that gives Bawumia less than 75% is not serious. There was Ben Efson saying NPP presidential primaries, Bawumia would win with around 75% of votes. There was also this one, NPP primaries, Bawumia tipped to win 80% of votes. Of course, we had that UK institution also bring that in. Then we had the majority leader say that Dr. Bawumia would win with over 75% of votes. If you look at the voting pattern and everything that has happened in between, you spoke about reselling and rebranding the vice president. Is it possible to rebrand and resell him on the back of all this and with the latest showing?
Yeah, exactly. That's my point. And I said, as to whether you can normally bring back a disenchanted electorate within your party depends on these 3 things I outlined. And the person of Bawumia makes that very difficult. If you look at Bawumia 2016, he had no track record. It had to take prophecies to predict what he was going to do. So the excitement around him was the buzzwords he was using, those economic jargons that we spoke of when we were in graduate school. Those were the ones he was churning out in lectures and getting all the media houses following him. He has not been able to translate any single one of them to policy. So he is not going to be able to reproject and rebrand himself. Anybody trying to rebrand Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is just like what we saw. The establishment coming up with polls, the big wigs within the state machinery coming out with election numbers that were going to favor Dr. Bawumia, trying to further silence the rest, the voice of the disenchanted people. But at the end of the day, what happened? They still managed to come through to tell us that the candidate you are trying to package for us, first of all, it's a disappointment to we ourselves internally, and he will not be able to bring in many Ghanaians. I would like to stress categorically that all the posts we are seeing is what the other candidates were talking about. State-managed elections, establishment candidate being projected at the expense of democracy, at the expense of fair elections. Fair voting is not the same as fair elections. We need to create that distinction. And if you look at all these MPs, the ministers, and the rest who were openly campaigning for Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia and doing everything to silence the rest, that makes the elections suspect and seriously problematic. And as we sit now, you are in northern Ghana and you don't hear anything. You expect that a northerner has been selected as a presidential candidate of a major party in the country. The news is still. People are worried and people are jittery. As we sit now, and the question you posed to Prof, an Alan Kennedy ticket would have made the election a very tough one, unless something seismic happens, something apocalyptic happens, and we don't vote. It is fair to say we'll swear in President John Dramani Mahama come January 2025, given what we are seeing.
Wow, that's quite a projection. You're saying that on the back of everything that has happened, even without the NPP, even without Dr. Bawumia choosing his running mate, you are saying that as of now, it is fair to say that come the 7th of January 2025, we'll be swearing in John Dramani Mahama?
You can hold me to my word. You can ask me the question on this studio, and I will tell you that they have no record to run against. I was on TV again. The issue was trying to run away from the record that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia was not in charge, as President Akufo-Addo is in charge. And that is problematic. If you look at one thing that people don't talk about is the legitimacy to govern. Within the party, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is not empowered by a very solid structure that he has built, that he's controlled. He's empowered by a structure controlled by the Danko faction of the party, the Akufo-Addo machinery. So he's going to be a stooge of the Danko faction. It's a Dombo, looks like a Dombo, but it's actually a Dankwa. And that is what we Northerners hate. We still have memories of what happened in the Liman regime, and we think that this is just a window dressing, trying to get a big Northerner up there and control him from the backstage. And Ghanaians are already tired with a very powerful president. We don't want to try an extremely weak one, still controlled by the very systems and structures that brought this country to its knees. There is no missing words about it, that this is the attempt to have an Akufo-Addo third term, to let what is going on continue. Let me buttress this. When we were doing the e-levy, Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia indicated that the e-levy shouldn't be taxed. That was his position as the chairman of the economic management team. What did the finance minister do? He brushed it aside and treated him with reckless abandon. And he could not do anything. If you are saying that this is not his record, it means that the vice president has been a stooge all these 8 years and has not been able to assert himself and insert himself in the governance and policy making in this country. He has not been able to bring his policies to bear in the management of the country. And he is now being projected by that same structure that suppressed him. You want to tell me that we should expect something different? No. So I think that apart from the tough cell that the NPP have, he was already going to be a very difficult candidate. I would have wished that they took this opportunity and brought in somebody like Alan. I said, naturally, if you wanted to, on a normal day, look at what people normally say are the factors of a presidential candidate, are the attributes. Kennedy didn't follow that order. He came out as someone who was satisfied with what was going on and was going to fix the economy, whatever it took. Kennedy, I just came across as the kind of person who will appoint you in the morning and fire in the evening. And there are many people who think that this our people need such a leader. So the NPP actually shot themselves in the foot by doing everything to suppress him. If you look at what happened, can you imagine what would have been the outcome if state machinery was not involved in this? If all the ministers were not part of this? If people were allowed to vote? If all the ambassadors and whosoever did not come from wherever they were to their constituencies to threaten the people? And you know, internal party elections, you know who is voting, you know who is who. And it's very easy to coerce them.
All right.
It was a very, very state choreographed elections that almost went bad.
All right. State choreographed elections, you call it. Let's head to the Ashanti region now. And here's why it's crucial, because the results that came in, you would realize that Kennedy Agyapong polled over 11,000 votes. We also saw Dr. Bawumia polling over 22,000 votes. And that's part of why we're taking our citizens' microphone to Kumasi in the Ashanti region to gauge the sentiments of people in that region on the back of the election of the flag bearer for the NPP. Nana Boakye Adom, my colleague, is standing by. Nana Boakye, what can you share with us? Basically, what is the feel in Kumasi on the back of Saturday's monumentous event?
All right, so Benjamin, for the very first time, we would have a non-Akan leading the governing New Patriotic Party into the crucial 2024 presidential election. And Dr. Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia managed to garner some over 22,000 votes against his closest contender, Kennedy Ohene Agyapong, the Member of Parliament for Asin Central, who also had over 11,000 votes. Although we had two candidates tracing their roots into the Ashanti region, Dr. Efri Akoto and then Francis Adenimo, the former Member of Parliament for Kwadaso and Mampon, respectively. Dr. Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia managed to win the Ashanti region, although we had these two candidates coming strongly from the Ashanti region. Today we'll be taking reactions from some residents in the Ashanti region. I'm currently in the Asuwase constituency, the constituency well known to be that of the NDC, specifically that of the former minority chief whip, Honorable Muntaka. Let's get the reaction from some residents in the Ashanti region. This woman here already is flanked in white and blue, the colors of the New Patriotic Party already. Mame, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia winning Ashanti region Saturday, how do you feel after this victory for Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia? Because we know he's not an Ashanti.
Anopai dear Meda Joy News. A tear for near her for Michamunina no pain. They decay me the radiasi. So don't ama de Yahuni, Abemusa, Amayen. I said that to be a minima delegating a wagana mem henina. Say a radi, I can't wakuma, Moma who say, Doctor, bet me Edianim, Ediakokono 2024. Na misa asre yewura kumpre kon ene Dr. Akoto yewura Adenimo se wo nyina fa komapa na yemfa entai yewura Dr. Chi efise nkunim de ni nyina ye NPP fo nyina na adi nkunim enye Dr. Nkwa na adi nkunim nkunim de ni ye NPP fo nyina dia nti esra mo pa sa mo fa komapa ne yemfa adwen kro enta na chi na yentimi nkokon sa okon no na nkunimdie no enya MPP for dia
no kra ye be kwa kokon sa okon na ma MPP. But then Dr. Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia ni nipa wodi kan a onya kan ni a oba be di MPP anim eba ne sa na ye akanfo no we are sure say idea 2024 be mrama doctor.
Oh, ye na kan for ide. Ye de ye no ye mfa ne sa. Ye de osono no kokroko no na ye somo no. Enti se won empanifo nim de ne nyansam no. Ye nyina yakob enkroma hu se doctor na beko de a. Na wo se ye ta na chi. Ye boa no na wokọ nti ye de osono kokroko e na ye somo no. Enye tribe bi na ye somo no. E ye wosono.
All right, so as a proud member of the New Patriotic Party, she is saying that regardless of the tribe of the newly elected flag bearer of the New Patriotic Party, as an Akan, she believes that definitely they are going to work towards victory come 2024. She says the aspirants or the other candidates who joined Dr. Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia during the just ended NPP Presidential Primaries should rally their support behind the newly elected flag bearer for victory 2024. But then I have another gentleman here with me. How do you feel after the New Patriotic Party delegates elected Dr. Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia as the new flag bearer, especially not tracing his route to the Ashanti region or any other Akan region?
Well, as my own opinion, I'm very, very happy to see Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia won the election as a flag bearer. And I'm also happy because Ashanti was being tagged as an NPP party, being criticizing, then it's been dominated by the Ashanti or Akans. That's not the perception. But now NPP has depicted that NPP party is not for a traditional or an Akan political party. So I'm very, 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 very happy that they were able. Myself, I'm a delegate.
Oh, really? You're a delegate?
I'm a delegate. I'm a station youth organizer at Akotiala in Malaga.
Okay.
We came together and look at a person who is going to help us breaking the 8. And looking at Dr. Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia, he has really shown a commitment that he can do it. You can't underestimate his capacity of being a vice president. Looking at him as a vice president, what he was able to contribute to the party will really help us to breaking the 8. So I'm really, really happy.
So let's look at the fact that 2024 is going to be a very crucial year for the New Patriotic Party. It's not going to be an easy run for the NDC though. But then, is Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia going to garner some huge votes from the Ashanti region and make it a win for the New Patriotic Party? Because looking at the previous elections, in the 2020 election you had over 1 million votes. In the 2016 election, yes, the NPP won with some over 1 million votes. Do you think that can still happen with Dr. Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia?
Looking at the good work that the NPP government have done, and having Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia to lead the flag leadership going to election 2024, I think we will definitely make a victorious victory coming 2024. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is the right candidate as now. Looking at what comes to the northern region, you can observe it yourself. This election that we just conducted 2 days ago, look at the massive improvement came from northern region. And northern region have been the strong area for NDC and the Zongo communities. Even I'll tell you yesterday, I have a lot of people who are NDC who call me congratulating that because they were not expecting that we will vote for Dr. Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia to be our flag bearer. So this is an improvement for us. We will definitely break the 8 because Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is going to canvass a lot of votes. I am saying it's going to win more than over that 1 million vote that Nana won in 2016.
All right, so reactions of some residents in the Ashanti region as to the outcome of the 2023 NPP Presidential Primaries. But then let's still get others to share their thoughts with us. How do you feel after the NPP elected Dr. Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia as the new flag bearer to lead the party to the 2024 elections, especially somebody who's not an Akan for the very first time?
Oh, I'm so happy for them because I'm neutral. I don't have any party. Okay. But right now, when I see what NPP people doing, they are doing great things. They have free education. They have more achievements. So if Bawumia is in, I think they will do better than that.
Is it not something quite surprising to you, looking at the fact that the NPP has elected for the very first time a non-Akan?
I'm surprised because I don't think that they will choose Muslim man for the president.
So what was your reaction when you first heard the news that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia has won the NPP primaries?
I was shocked.
You were shocked?
Yeah.
Why were you shocked?
Because I even shout, say, hey, NPP, first time, first in history. So now, 2025, vote for them.
You vote for them?
Yeah.
Because they elected Dr. Bawumia?
Yeah, I vote for them. Because I think, say, the MPP people will only choose Akan people. But right now, no, I have seen said they always pick from anywhere they like.
Okay, so looking at the fact that Dr. Bawumia pulled over 22,000 votes in the Ashanti region alone, he won the Ashanti region massively. Was it surprising as well, the vote he had in the Ashanti region?
Yeah, I'm surprised too. Because in Ashanti region, they always tell us that we love our Akan people. But Ashanti region has shown Bawumia that they love him more than the Northern region.
Oh, really? Yeah. Looking at the votes, Ashanti loves Bawumia more than Northern region?
Yeah. Yeah, so I would tell him, say, he should turn her face into Ashanti region because they have shown him more love. So we are ready to vote for him 2024. We will move from our party to vote for him to become a president for Ghana 2024.
Okay, so that's their thoughts as to the outcome of the NPP presidential primaries held on 4th of November. Okay, I have another lady here with me. Dr. Alhaji Mahmood Bawumia is the new flag bearer for the New Patriotic Party. Looking at the numbers he pulled in the Ashanti region, over 22,000 votes against his closest contender, Kennedy Ohinejapon, who had over 11,000 votes. He won massively in the Ashanti region. Although Formina was not a good run for him, do you think that not choosing an Akan candidate for the NPP can secure victory for the NPP going into the 2024 general elections?
Yes. NPP is a national party. And whoever the NPP presents, the people of Ashanti region are going to vote for him. Because when you want a development, it is the NPP who brings the developments into the country. So Dr. Mahmood Bawumia will win the election in 2024.
Were you not surprised when you first heard of the numbers he had garnered from the region? 22,000, that's quite huge. Were you not surprised? Although you believe that the NPP is a national party, they did not come as a surprise to you?
No, it didn't come as a surprise to me because during the August 26 election, he had 97 votes in Ashanti region, and I knew it is going to be translated into the November 4th election. So I was not surprised at all because NPP is a national party. And then the people of Ashanti region will say Asante Nkai. And they said that because when you come to Ashanti region and then you live with them in harmony, they will not even remember that you are not an Ashanti. When it comes to vote, they will vote for you.
All right, so let's look at 2024. That's the bigger picture. That's the most crucial elections ahead of us. 2024, two Northerners, Dr. Alhaji Mahmood Bawumia, John Dramani Mahama from the NDC, and Dr. Mahmood Bawumia, yes, from the New Patriotic Party. How is it going to look like? How have you pictured 2024?
2024 election is going to be an interesting election. Why? Because NPP has never presented an Akan candidate before. And when you come to Ashanti region, it's an Akan-dominated region. So for us in the Ashanti region, we know Dr. Mahmood Bawumia is not going to get anything less than 80% in Ashanti region. And then in the northern region, this is the first time NPP has presented a northerner. So in the northern region, they are going to compare the two candidates. Who is bringing more to the table? And when you look at John Mahama and Dr. Alhaji Mahmood Bawumia, John Mahama is far behind Dr. Alhaji Mahmood Bawumia. So it is the northerners who are going to decide 2024 election vote. And Dr. Mahmood Bawumia has done a lot for the northern region than John Dramani Mahama.
You have a very beautiful analysis, and I love it. But then let's look at the fact that some people say without Kennedy Ohinejapon, it's going to be a difficult one for Dr. Alhaji Mahmood Bawumia. Do you also believe in that?
Yes, because in unity lies strength. If Honorable Kennedy Ohinejapon does not support Alhaji Dr. Mahmood Bawumia, it will be a very difficult election in 2024. But when you look at his speech on November 4th, he said he is going to rally behind Alhaji Dr. Mahmood Bawumia for us to secure the victory in 2024. So Dr. Kennedy Ohinejapon is behind Dr. Mahmood Bawumia, and we are going to win the election in 2024, inshallah.
Grateful for your time, and that is the reactions from some other residents we are getting in the Ashanti region. Okay, I have some other one person here with me. How did you find the NPP presidential election, the results? Ohun is saying, how did you find it?
Oh, in fact, NPP for my idea pa said na about one encore so 4th November no near man ekokoso no na me nyini sese kura na ebe for now no a free and fair election ye papa or candidate wo hina Japan aka ni nyina ye akire ye ama ye hu se abana ye to ye no sese de aka nyina ye asomdwe ti as dedi kan ebe kwa ma otwadi amponyankopon a owo NPP no owo o man Ghana no owo ye nyina no ye beda na se woni ye pa ani hyiranso a oto ye de edigu so de ma ye afa memra NPP na memra Ghana man no so sese ye sha ye besre NPP Council of Elders omumba omunan ensifom na omunya entotoye ye wo party nim ye hia enkabom ya to abana wie Kennedy Japan teacherfo wo se NPP empanifo ne omo ehia na omo kasa na omo hwe omo ano kasa ye saa so ne papa Bawumia a say oya incoming president ya to aba amana oba ba ye oman no president nyame ya aduma 2025 no ono so na teacherfo enhwe se omo kasa entia eye Kennedy Japan eye ne nkofo no enti kakra mo de ma NPP for so na ye mra oman Ghana say ya to abama yen papa Mahmoud Bawumia and Ghana yabakwasem 4th Republic ebisida only the first Muslim NPP for as a presidential candidate obejinam dia ma 2024 na many age stay bi I'm a Christian but I'm happy say Bawumia ebe Ghana president yen tanachi na enwuma pa oye dia mo man in fact Ghana ya breo 80s 70s 90s ya bre papa e bedroom e bia mo kura obedi mo achi se Christmas kura e bobo show on 7 right dey wadi but now and now delivery mo na ba na be siwo bibia online as I speak say uchi alad ba o call phone so na why dey what you alad be no and now we insurance unko dealer bia mo light tintin no atwam kan o ko prepaid card and a prepaid unit egu wa yiso a ubedi lights na wo ye chill ni ade ba na no me no ka say ene bibia ye online kama eti Mr. Ghana for say yen busa se mahama oba de na oba be ye Mr. Ghana for say yen to aba no mama Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia o wan say ye pad ma yen free education ya ku anim ene akola onim ade kura no enam say kan no obi anya access grade 6 but oni buafo be ene free education ti ene obi am move forward ti Mr. Mahmoud to aba no ema Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia nyame aduma December yen to aba no 2024 na December 7th January 7th president.
Thank you so much. So he's also saying that he believes Dr. Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia can win the 2024 presidential elections. He believes that in unity, the NPP can fight the NDC and then win the 2024 presidential elections. But then we still have another woman here with me. How do you feel after you heard the news? Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, as flag bearer of the New Patriotic Party, you'll be leading the party to the 2024 presidential elections. How did you see it?
So I feel very excited. I feel very excited when I heard the results because I even expected more. Because per my analysis, I knew Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia was going to get 80% of the vote.
Per your analysis?
Yes.
What analysis?
You know, we are there. We are the grassroots.
Oh, I see.
And we know what is going on behind closed doors. So per all the analysis we did, me and some of my colleagues, we knew he was going to get the 80% of the total election count. But it's not like all the same. We have already won it. Yes, we have won it. So currently we are looking at how we can break the 8, and we know it is going to be possible. A lot of people are thinking it is never going to be possible, but we are going to shock people. We are really going to shock people.
Let's look at the Ashanti region, the votes Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia had in the Ashanti region. Yes. Over 22,000 votes. His closest contender, Kennedy Ohene Japan, had over 11,000 votes. When you heard the numbers, the figures from the Ashanti region, what was your reaction?
I'll bring you some of the scoop later from the Ashanti region. Quite a lot to talk about. Some positivity from the Ashanti region when it comes to the election of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. But let's come here into Accra, and Carlos Kaloni is standing by at the University of Ghana, specifically Ayawaso West Wogon constituency. Now, you would realize that, in fact, there were some 17,000 plus votes for Kennedy Ohene Japan here in Accra voting, and just 19,002 votes for Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia. That was not something that was expected. We'll try and get things together and come to the Greater Accra region to find out why this panned out in that direction, as and when we can connect with Carlos Kaloni. But let me come back to Dr. Ayamga. Listening to the reactions of some of those we've interacted with in the Ashanti region, what is your personal reaction on the back of that? It's more positive than you would have expected, right? All right, I think we've lost Dr. Ayamga on the line. Carlos, if you can hear me, I hear you're somewhere in the University of Ghana, Legon. Share with me what the sentiments of the people are on the back of the NPP choosing the new flag bearer, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia.
Discussing this, as you can see there in your shot, a number of concerns are being raised whether Dr. Bawumia has what it takes to actually bring the party together, the perceived cracks that exist in the NPP. Some are also raising concerns as to whether, with the popularity he's garnered so far in the NPP, 61 point something %, as compared to that of Dramani Mahama, he'll be able to actually break the 8 for the NPP, as well as concerns about vote buying that allegedly characterized the NPP's presidential primaries over the weekend. And so students here on the campus of the University of Ghana have been discussing this issue, and we have a few of them here to share their thoughts with us so we understand what they actually make of the process and if indeed they believe Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia has what it takes to actually break the 8 for the NPP. So you're live on Joy News. You have been following the primaries over the weekend, and so share with us what's your thought on what really transpired over the weekend.
I think everything that happened is one way or the other known, because looking at the NPP, the two major candidates, which is Dr. Bawumia and then Kennedy Japan, they were the two people we were all looking out for. Looking at Bawumia won at the end, but looking at the votes he put, it's somehow questionable, and then it's also commendable, because looking at a region like the Volta region, looking at the votes Bawumia was able to get from the Volta region, I think it has never happened in the history of NPP. Getting that vote. So I see Bawumia to be someone coming with a new vibe. Yes. Okay, so you believe that he can really break the 8 for the NPP? Breaking the 8 is something I can't really say, because Mahama on the other side is also a very strong candidate, and then both Mahama and Bawumia are well-known citizens. Because Mahama was the former president, and then he's also the vice president. So if I'm to vote, they've all worked and I've seen their work. So I think I'll weigh both of them and I'll know who to vote for. So from the history you're just sharing with us, if you weigh the two of them now, between the Dr. Bawumia as well as John Dramani Mahama, who actually do you think is going to make it come 2024? I can't really say, because that's not, I don't know who someone else's option, but for me, I'm looking at a general figures. Looking at the NDC primaries, Mahama, for instance, also put quite a huge number of votes from the Ashanti region, and then it was also something. So it's like Mahama put votes from the Ashanti region, Bawumia also put votes from Volta region. So I think 2024 election, it's going to be something we've never seen. All right, thank you. Your name again? Ezekiel. Okay, so that's Ezekiel's view. We have other students here who are also going to share their thoughts with us. Do you think Bawumia has what it takes to break the 8 for the NPP?
Well, for me personally, I don't really think he would break the 8, because looking at Mahama's votes, he had more votes. And
that's in the NDC?
Yeah, in the NDC. And then Bawumia in the NPP had a bit of a vote, because 60% is more than 50. So I think Mahama, the people of Ghana want a change. So them voting for Mahama, they would want a change. So I think Mahama would win the 2024 election.
Is it that Ghanaians want a change, or you don't think that Bawumia has what it takes to actually break the 8 for the NPP, not bringing in Mahama at all? I mean, let's look at Bawumia as a person for the NPP. Do you think he has what it takes to break the 8 for the NPP?
Oh, he has what it takes. Yeah, he has what it takes. But I feel Ghana wants a change. So they would go for Mahama. But Bawumia has what it takes because he was able to get more than 50% of the votes from the people here.
All right. So your name again?
I'm Trisha.
Okay. So Trisha believes Bawumia has what it takes to actually break the 8 for the NPP. But the fact that Ghanaians won't change, she believes that it's not likely to actually make it for the NPP to break the 8. Let's see another person here. Give us your name and tell us what you make of this, whether Bawumia indeed has what it takes to break the 8.
My name is Mami Kunedu, and then my view on all this, I mean, after the election, Bawumia got 61+ of the votes from his own people. And then in a team, if your people don't support you enough, the outside world do not support you too. I feel like he could have gotten more than 61% because it looks like part of the people in there are actually not for him. Because look at Mohammed's votes, 90+ among his own people. And then Bawumia's votes is somehow average. That's what I would say. And then about what it takes, I don't think he has it. Because Bawumia is very popular among Ghanaians, both negatively and positively. But I think the negative aspect is more, it's greater. So if Dr. Alan had been present, I feel like he would have gotten more votes than that 68%, because where are the rest of the percentages going to? Like it's 100%, and then he got 61 point something. So where is the rest going?
But we've seen Kennedy also post some significant votes, so probably those votes went to Kennedy.
True, but I feel like if Dr. Alan had been running, Kennedy would not have gotten that particular vote he got, because I feel like Alan would have gotten more than Bawumia had. So it would have been left with a very small percentage to share between Dr. Bawumia and then Kennedy.
Okay,
that's my view.
So you don't think Bawumia has what it takes to break the 8 for the NPP?
Honestly, no, because looking at the reputation of the NPP for the last 8 years, they are in the deep. Like, Ghanaians are somehow mad at the NPP right now. So if they are looking for a flag bearer, they should look for someone with less fault, someone with less negativity, and Dr. Bawumia is just not that person right now.
Okay.
In my opinion, I feel like Dr. Bawumia is not that person for the NPP right now.
But you believe Alan could have been a better candidate?
Yes.
But he also served in this particular government.
He did, but then, as I said, it's an individual something. We are all in Ghana, but then even though we work grouply as a country, as a party, individual efforts also matter. I feel like Dr. Alan's individual effort didn't really bring more negativity, but looking at Dr. Bawumia and then Kennedy, there is too much negativity going around them, too many rumors, too many wrong moves like going around them. So with Dr. Bawumia representing the NPP for the next year's election, I don't feel good about it, but then that's just my view.
Look forward to what happens. Your name again?
Mami Kunedu.
Mami Kunedu believes that Bawumia does not have what it takes. So now we've seen the problem. What should be the way forward for Bawumia? What should be his preoccupation now in order to change the perception of Ghanaians who believe that he does not have what it takes to actually break the 8 for the NPP? And so I have with me, can you give us your name?
My name is Modassar Brahima.
Okay, so what do you think Bawumia should be doing now that a lot of Ghanaians are thinking he does not have what it takes to break the 8 for the NPP?
Right now, he should be thinking about convincing us to trust him, because Bawumia has so many credibility issues and so many trust issues, because he has made a lot of promises from 2008 up until 2012. Then to 2016, so many promises, unfulfilled promises. I mean, as a running mate, he went on to make promises as if he was going to be the president. And people, you know, will hold you for your words. And over those years, he has made, pronouncements that, have come now to haunt him, because we've heard comments of him saying 8 years, NDC in government, that was in 2016. Yes, they've not been able to transform Ghana. The question Ghanaians will ask ourselves today is, the 8 years down the lane, NPP in government, have we been able to transform Ghana? I was at Accra Sports Stadium and I heard him say they are going to save Ghana. I don't know, he was speaking as if he was still in opposition. Save Ghana from who? Currently, you've delved into, digitalization all of a sudden. We knew it to be the economic risk kid. Today, what has happened to it. He has not spoken on e-levy. He has not spoken on, the road tolls issues. He has not spoken on the Momo, because he was on, he conducted an interview to say that Momo...
So you expect him to, trumpet some of the achievements in those areas?
He's supposed to convince us why we should trust him, because he has said some things that have not materialized. He has said some things he was against, but have been implemented now. Because you are talking of Momo not to be taxed. Okay. You spoke about it. Now it has been implemented. You are not saying anything about it. E-levy, you are against it. Road tolls, he was one of the people who was advocating for road tolls. Now the road tolls has been abolished. We are not hearing from you. You should tell us. He has a lot of work to do in convincing us to believe that, yes, we should take him for his words and that he will come to fulfill his promises.
So you do not think that the victory speech delivered by Dr. Bawumia was convincing enough to float in voters, so maybe they will now go and vote for him come 2024?
I mean, the only convincing message in that victory speech was that everything is possible in life. You can make it. But aside that, I don't see any other thing that's convincing in the speech, because you have been a running mate, you have been a vice president, you have, had your turn, and this is what we get from you. What should we take you? He comes to say that he has his own vision. Why didn't you support your president with your vision to let the country, move on, so that we'll praise you for all the effort? But today, price hikes, inflation, and you're not even speaking on the tangible issues that have happened, the things you were against. So it leaves much of doubt. Trust issues, we have personal.
So do you think the NPP has made a wrong decision or wrong choice, which you're actually going to hunt them going into the 2024 election based on what you say?
So, as for it being a wrong choice, yes, I think so, because they want to prove a point. But you see, it is politics. You are to capture power. So whatever it takes for you to capture power, you have to do it. And you don't bring the same faces we have seen before. The same people have, led us into this, hardship currently that we are experiencing. At least we expected a new face. But, well, he's the best candidate among all the other candidates that they were bringing on board, except for the fact that Alan Chamante broke away. He would have been maybe a major contender and maybe a possible candidate for him. But for Bawumia's candidature, he was, trumpeting the good of the good policies of NPP. So you can see that people will go in for him because he are coming to use the vehicle of the NPP. And that's what brought Kennedy had pawned down. Because you cannot say that you want to use the vehicle of NPP, then you are condemning them. Okay. You come and say the party are this, but you see,
so that did not work for Kennedy because of his criticism of the party and all that.
Exactly, because you are doing anti-party, you are going against the party. The vehicle you want to use, you are rather destroying it. Okay. So how do we sell the message? And Bawumia is the best candidate in the sense that for them, because but not for the nation. Okay. Yes, he can represent the party, maybe also come and strive, but not for the 2024.
So you do not think that Bawumia will be able to pull a surprise in 2024 election at all? He cannot break the 8 for the NPP?
Not at all. Okay. He's just coming to, maybe the northern sector gets some vote, but right now the stakes high. Unless something maybe untoward happen, maybe they work hard to reduce the hardship, then maybe we can have a consideration. But for
is that a feeling across this campus? You live here, you school here, and tell us how students are really taking this winning by Dr. Bawumia.
No, the issue is that we feel everything in our pocket as students as well. We know what our parents are going through. We know what they go through day and night to get us our daily bread, accommodation, and all that. So that translates into us. We know, we feel it as well. So once someone who is a vice president who has come and we've not seen a major transformation as promised, definitely the mood on campus is not good. Because if you go out there and go and play NPP song, you may be lynched because
here on the University of Ghana campus.
I'm serious about it because people are not happy about what's going on in the country. People are not happy about governance. Even here, accommodation. No one is working for us. No one is speaking for us.
Okay.
Government is doing as if they are not seeing to it. And every year there's price accommodation. There's increase.
Okay. Thank you. Your name again?
My name is Modestin Brahima.
Okay, so that is his opinion. He believes that Bawumia has a terrible record, and then he does not believe that he can really break the 8. Let's speak more to some other people. Okay, let me speak to you first, and then I'll come to you. Now, Bawumia appears to have a major task, based on what we've heard so far. From where you sit, briefly, what should he be doing now so maybe he can win Ghanaians back so that he'll be able to break the 8 for the NPP?
All right, so I think Bawumia should right now focus on, doing something to change the economy rather than focusing on coming into power, because I think automatically if he focuses on doing something to change the economy, he's gonna, you know, win people's hearts, you know, in the 2024 election. Bawumia is the best person they can present. They can present. NPP can present. So I think right now the party should really focus. And the current president, Adodi, he should help Bawumia.
Can he do that in the few, just some months to the election?
Well, you know, you never know. Last days are always dangerous. They should do something, because Bawumia has been somebody, you know, in you ask everybody, majority of Ghanaians, you ask them who is Bawumia, then they're like, this liar, you know. So they've painted some kind of pictures in our head that who Bawumia is, because we've been seeing him saying a lot of things, but then you check out those things and then they're not happening. So of course he's a liar. But
no, so that's your opinion, actually. Okay, so we cannot say he's a liar. Yes, perception out there.
Opinion, yeah.
But he has also said things that have happened. If you talk about the free SHS, for instance, he said it and the free SHS is on. So we cannot base on one failure or one challenge and say that he's a liar. Don't you think?
There's been other things, you know, confusions with the media. Like, Bawumia's whole face was like,
so you think
he destroyed his face? You know, somebody who was going to run for president, they knew was going to run for president. They should have protected him instead of allowing him to make some public statements and things where people will come back and say that he didn't do this, he didn't do that, and all of that. No, they should have just, you know, kept him somewhere and then allowed him to work.
Okay.
You know, so right now, Adodi should focus. It's level. I know elections are almost close, but then they should do something, because they can't just sit and expect Ghanaians to vote for them.
Right.
I won't vote for them if they don't do anything. So they should do something about it.
Thank you. Your name again?
Moses.
Okay, that's Moses. So let me come to you. Your name?
My name is Gideon.
Okay, Gideon. I have Gideon here. And so let's look at what the others have been saying. The fact that they believe Bawumia has really not managed the economy well. And so if nothing changes drastically, it means that he might not be able to break the 8 for the NPP. Is this an opinion you share?
Well, before I come back to that, I have something to say. And that's, I think what the country needs to do is we should start thinking about 4 to 5 years to 10 years, you know, in advanced planning, so that some of these things will not come to us as a shock. You understand? As to what happens in the individual party groups, I would say yes. And we all witnessed what happened on Saturday when the weight that His Excellency Bawumia pulled. You know, it wasn't anything which is quite shaky. You understand? That can cut people's hearts. So what I say is there's a lot of work that needs to be done if they really need to, break the 8. So far as looking at the fashionism that exists within the party, okay. That's what I can say for now.
Does Bawumia has what it takes to bring that factionism? The cracks in the party, to mend those cracks.
Well, basically, this is an adult issue. So basically, I think the stakeholders involved need to sit down to crack their heads, and knowing what they want, then they can think about it. I hope you understand.
Okay. So some of your colleagues are also raising concern of the alleged vote buying that went on, and they believe that money played a pivotal role in this particular election, which could have maybe swayed the vote or the winning candidate to a certain part. Is it something you think is a concern as a young democracy in Ghana, that we are seeing these pictures where delegates are confirming receiving money from aspirants and all that?
Well, I think it's becoming a growing trend, and over the years, we've seen this behavior being surfaced. And I think it's about time we try to do away with this monocracy thing, so that they will take our democracy very, very seriously. Because it will give room for other people to vote purely on their conscience, but not as being bought. They will not have this perception that I'm being bought to vote. You understand? In order to protect our young democracies, that's what I think we have to. So we have to invest more in the people and have good governance. You understand? Because that's the way forward. Money issue. We can even pour the whole money dollar into this country. So since we don't have proper use for, where it's going and other things, I think we may not. It will not yield the result
towards Ghanaians.
Towards Ghanaians. So we should endeavor strive to grow our young democracy. You understand? In whatever way, shape, or form it will take. Rome was not built in a day. Sometimes you could see some people taking hard blocks and other things just to build the architecture or the fiber of the country. So I think, we know times are hard, but yes, it's only when we believe in nationalism. Okay. You understand? So the way forward is nationalism, whereby we can bring everybody on board. Give them the leeway.
All right.
Whatever they have, so that they can give to the nation. You understand? Okay.
So, two contrasting, very different schools of thought. We went to the Ashanti region, and it was more of, Dr. Bawumia is the next president and all of that. Then we came to Accra, and of course, no candidate without winning the Greater Accra region has won an election, the presidential election. We come to Accra, to the font of knowledge, tertiary education, the University of Ghana. And that is what some students are saying. In fact, Mame Kunedu, one of those who spoke, interestingly, had some attention diverted to her on our social media page because a lot of people were saluting her, saying her submissions are brilliant and that she summarized the entire state of the nation. Then there was that gentleman that followed. So some comments that came in, I'll just take a look at some of them before I wrap the conversation with Dr. Ayamga. Mabia Damba says, as a northerner, I will vote based on competence, not because I am a Muslim or a northerner. This one says, okay, so Simon Birch Kaja says, it's funny listening to our brothers in Kumasi. Well, that's their point of view, not the real fact or analysis. Well, everyone is entitled to their point of view. What you think is not necessarily what others will think. Then there's this one that says, Ken Bawumia Allen, they are the same. None of them can be president for Ghana. They have failed us for years. More people saluting Mame Kunedu. And this one says, you people, that is the students, are failing to tell the students that Mahama went unopposed. So he didn't go unopposed, by the way. Kojo Bonsu contested him. So definitely he has no one to compete with. His vote was more than 60%. Ken contested Bawumia. That's the point you make. And Florence Zinel says, how is Nanado going to help Bawumia when he couldn't help himself? Okay, so those are some of the comments that have come through. Dr. Ayamga, you've listened, I believe, those from the Ashanti region and those from the University of Ghana campus. I think the conversation at the University of Ghana campus was in-depth because issues came up. But what do you make of all of this, and what does it mean going forward for the NPP?
Yeah, it's just as I expected. We still think that the Ashanti region will remain a stronghold of the NPP. People on the street will still feel they have a certain obligation to protect the ideals of the NPP. That doesn't mean they are going to vote for the NPP. All we are saying is that by the time elections are done, campaigning is done, and they pick Bawumia to his performance, there's going to be a significantly higher number of people who will drift towards number one, Mahama. Number two, there will be a significantly higher number of people who won't go to vote. And that is the problem in the Ashanti region. There's going to be issues of apathy and discontent with the status quo, especially given that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia has been driven in the establishment express, the incumbency express to the flag bearership. That is going to deflate people. If you look at what is happening in Accra and particularly in the University of Ghana, it boils down to unemployment. And as I said here, the youth are disenchanted because they virtually have nothing to do. They have education, they get degrees, they have the zeal to start businesses. Today, you cannot start a business in Ghana. We are talking about, as I said, you took unemployment around 5.1%. Today, we are talking about 13.3%. That is about 273% or so. Worsening of employment. You worsen employment by 270%. That number. About 1.7 million young people don't have jobs. And this number is increasing. You don't expect them to be singing Hallelujah, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. So those two contrasting issues we see there is an issue of a stronghold, loyalty to a party and a political system versus reality in the economy. And if you not only Accra, if you take other places into consideration where they are not connected to the party via any other system, but by just how they perform, you realize that nobody wants to see Bawumia again. And they already faced the daunting task. They have made that task even harder by the selection of Mahmoud Bawumia, and secondly, by the manner in which he was elected. That is the problem they are confronting, and that is what is going to be their undoing. I don't see anything happening between now and elections, because definitely we are at the IMF, so the justification to use the IMF proceeds and other things, except maybe that money has been stashed under people's beds. That monocracy cannot be spread across the nation. We saw it in Ashanti. It was testament to the fact that people can only be influenced monetarily to a certain level. When it comes to their livelihood and their life and death issue, they'll make the right choices. And I don't think that the NPP has the resources to do what they did in Ashanti across the whole nation, let alone win back areas that they have lost. So it is going to be a very, very difficult task to them. They needed a candidate that would bring back energy, that will bring back joy, that would harness nostalgia and go on. The candidate we have now is flat. The victory is still, and people are actually not feeling like, okay, there's hope in the horizon. But Bawumia doesn't project hope. He projects hopelessness and despair based on his record. And yes, he's trying to run away from the economy to digitization. And that is like failing the prerequisite of a program and wanting to get a degree in it. When you digitize something, it makes it easier. If you digitize, let's say, a presentation, it means you can stay in the house and still anchor this program. If you digitize failure, it's going to magnify failure. So what is the president going to digitize? The framework, the input, the data he's going to input in his digitization framework is massive failure across all sectors of the economy. Let me say it without any equivocation, that there is no data, economic data, in 2016 that was not better than 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023. You can check it. So the 2016 that we ran out for is something we are yearning to have back. People would rather be in 2016 than this 2023. And that is the record of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. There is no mincing words. That is the task he has to confront. He has his work cut out for him. And I don't think it's a possible task.
I'll have to thank you, Dr. Ayamga, though my last ruminations on this, I've just been taking a look. I find it curious. Looking at, of course, the strongholds of the NPP, Ashanti and Eastern, you would realize that Kennedy Ejapong, from the votes cast, secured over 30% of the vote. So it's like 1:2, thereabouts, the ratio. And then, interestingly, in the Greater Accra region, the difference was less than 2,000, 17,282 versus 19,002. And then on that basis, you look at the popularity of the candidate that the NPP has fielded. But only time will tell. Come next year, we'll see when the NDC and the NPP lock horns on the issues. That's what we're looking for. Like at the University of Ghana, it's the issues, the crucial issues, and performance. What have you done vis-a-vis what you said? I think that is where the real cookie will crumble. But Dr. Ayamga, we're grateful for your time this morning, and we wish you the very best.
Thank you for having me.
Dr. Michael Ayamga is a development economist and senior lecturer at the University for Development Studies in Tamale. We also had joining the conversation Professor Kobi Mensah of the University of Ghana Business School. That is the first leg of our conversation. Well, coming up next, after the break, we're going to bring you updates on the flooding in communities along the Volta River. We know of what has happened, but what is the latest situation there? We'll be bringing you the scoop after the break.
Welcome to the Rollins Park, where scores of models graced the runway with elegance and style. Well, the Brony Wewu 2023 festival has brought to life clothes that hitherto would have been drowned in Ghana's drainage system, choking and perhaps causing flooding. But here, the talented young ones here have brought life to these clothes, and now they are on the runway. What makes this event truly captivating is the fact that these models are adorned in unique designs crafted from second-hand clothes popularly known as Obroni Wewu. These extraordinary creations are the brainchild of 5 talented emerging designers from the vibrant Kantamanto market. Amidst the glamour, lead organizer Samuel Ten passionately urged industry players and policymakers to acknowledge the invaluable contribution of Kantamanto to Ghana's fashion landscape.
So Obroni Wewu October is an urban upcycle and thrift festival that was initiated last year, and the whole idea is to celebrate Kantamanto and Ghana's culture of reuse and repair. So we are here to celebrate Kantamanto and Ghana's reuse culture. What is most significant is that we have designers from Kantamanto who are very, very talented and creative individuals who have gone under 2 months intensive training, and today they're going to reveal to us their collection that they've been working on over the last 2 months. We also have a pop-up shop where most of the vendors from Kantamanto are selling their goods here as well. Most people see what we are doing here as just, partying and having fun and just fashion, but beneath the surface, there's so much that is being done in terms of environmental activism. As in, most of these people here, the clothing that you are seeing here, the ones you see on the runway, will most likely have ended up in some dump or some gutters or be somewhere. But these individuals are talented enough that these ways that people will not use, they are finding innovative ways to reuse them and make them wearable. Yeah, so we have vendors from Kantamanto, the aunties and uncles, there are adiyes here who are ready to mend your clothes for you. So even if you buy something and it's too big, they'll be there to reduce the size for you. We also have the upcyclers here who are doing live demonstrations. So if you have a t-shirt that needs screen printing, there's someone for you. If you have denim that needs some passion, there's someone for you. So all of these creative talents are here to give you a great experience. Yeah.
Finally, what motivated you to start this?
So for me, it was really about the fact that Kantamanto has been doing its work for a very, very long time, but it has been recognized for what it does. So that was really what it inspired us, to give them the space and the platform to show what they can do.
Fashion entrepreneur, stylist, and member of the Brony Wewu School, Neil Davis, says there's no reason why the creations from Kantamanto's talented designers can't shine on the global runway.
Yeah, I came on as a mentor and a trainer for the young kids that are, emerging from Kantamanto. I'm an upcycler myself. I do it as a brand. I've been running my brandship for the past 4 years. So I come in as one of the pioneer people who started this, from cans using dead stock materials and waste, to make clothing. And I think it's something that a lot of people do not understand. So that's why this is happening now. We want to educate people. We want to encourage people, to reuse, to recycle, and to reinvent pieces of waste that they have. I think everything starts with a mindset. It has to be a cultural mindset for everybody. I believe one man standing to start makes other people want to start. Just like how I started, it's like I encourage the next generation to pick up this, and that's what is happening. So I feel like even if you don't have to thrift from cans, even your stuff that you use at home, you can hand embroider it in a certain way. You can remove the sleeves of a shirt and make it sleeveless, and it's a whole new style altogether. You can rejoin the sleeves to another shirt and it's a new shirt altogether. It's been artistic in putting together a style silhouette for yourself.
Designer Charles Prepra expressed gratitude for the platform provided by the All Foundation, emphasizing the importance of showcasing their creativity to a wider audience.
I learned it when I was a little age, yes, and I was a fashion, I love fashion, yes. So I heard Obroni Wewu, that was last year, and they told us that we should contest and stuff. So we were working with the All Foundation, yes, and they said we should do fashion, this thing and that. So we started it. That was last year. It's helping me a lot because through this thing I've met a whole lot of artists. It has opened ways for me, and a lot, yes, a lot, and it's helping the youth too. Yes, it's helping us very, 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 very well. Because it is bringing what I knew, then what I can do, then what even my aim. Yes, because I love fashion. Yes. So as they came, yes, we were like, okay, then let's join. And I've been in Kantamanto over 15 years now. Yes. So as they came, I was like, okay, because since I've been there, no one have been telling us that maybe we should do this or we should do that. Yes. So as they started it last year, yes, it was cool. So this year they told us that it was going to be large, and it's true too. You can even see it yourself. Yeah. Even what I was wearing is very, 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 very hard, and it will be hardly for you to get it somewhere. Yeah. Yes, it will be hardly for you to get it somewhere. Only in Kantamanto. Yes, we are proud of ourselves. Yes, because at Kantamanto we can do a whole lot of things. Yes, but it seems like no one is doing that. Like no one is paying attention to us until they came to us. You see it? Yes.
Richard Ashanti is also a designer, a beneficiary of the Broniwewu October project. He shared his excitement about the overwhelming patronage the event has received, underscoring the growing appeal of sustainable fashion.
This event is helping us a lot. It's actually putting our works out there, letting new people to see what we are doing. Like, we have been in the dark for long, so since Broniwewu October came last year and this year, it has actually helped us to see more people, and people from abroad are looking at our start seeing us, start taking pictures, making it go viral so that we can earn some earning from it. Yeah, this I actually made this. It's called opium style. Yeah, this style is called opium style. Yeah, that's it. So I actually planned this to make it like this, to wear it myself. Yeah. Okay. I just did this this morning. Wow. Yeah.
Renowned musician One Love the Kubolo, who graced the event, urged the government to play a more active role in supporting initiatives like the Broniwewu Festival, emphasizing the cultural and economic significance of such endeavors.
Super excited. This initiative by the OR's president, this Broniwewu October, is giving opportunity to designers to create the most amazing things they can think of. You know, they facilitate, they support them with funds to go out there into Kantamanto and pick the materials they need to create whatever they are dreaming about. And I think it's really amazing. It's somehow a pity that it's not something initiated by the government, but we all know our government is focused on other things. And so here we are come to enjoy over months of hard work by designers, tailors, and different logistical people at the OR's present, and so we're here to see a show. Yeah. First of all, they are raising awareness that almost 80% of the bales that come, the foods of Broniwewu, are not resellable. And because of the high taxes on the traders at Kantamanto, it's hard to dispose of these things because you have to pay for the baller. Yeah. And you're not making that much money in this economy. So people often leave the bales anyhow, and the rain pushes it into the drains, and it ends up in the ocean, choking the life there, spoiling things for fishermen, polluting the toxins that come out of these dyed fabrics and so on, also polluting the water. Yeah. And so Broniwewu October, the OR's president, and all the designers and everybody that comes around this collective are concerned about the environment and want us to stop what they call waste colonialism, which is just dumping their baller on us. They should make sure there's quality control at that side before materials come, so that we can be selling 90-100% of everything that comes.
Additionally, the event provided a golden opportunity for some sellers to make good sales.
So I'm Saudi. I run this barbecue stand. It's called Aboki, a subsidiary of Suya Republic. So the All Foundation has always been family. They called to partner on this, so we are on board, and the patronage has been good. Everybody is here showing us plenty love. The patronage has been good. You can see people coming, everyone here showing us love. They've seen the stand, and everyone wants to get a taste. Yeah.
In the heart of Rawlins Park, a celebration of creativity and sustainability unfolded, proving that fashion knows no boundaries when passion and innovation come together. Maxwell Agbagba for Joy News. Good hair means curls.
Receiving of relief items by communities affected by Kosombo Dam spillage has almost become a normal phenomenon. Almost every day, people in the Southern District and communities along the Volta Lake receive relief items due to the Kosombo Dam spillage. Companies, individuals, and kind-hearted people have been helping the affected communities. But it's not about these relief supplies. It's about a community and its people who have lost their livelihood, homes, and jobs. The Manklalo of Bato traditional area, Omanklado Boboji, is calling for an immediate plan to resettle the affected communities.
Minister of Finance, he says that this issue, because it rained too much, that caused it. It means that another day, another rain will come. How long Ghanaians will continue and be giving us food if another rain have come again? So we have the land, we have a space. Ghana government should do something about it to resettle our people. We are appealing to the government as a good leader for us, father for all, should come out so that we can hear something from him, so that our hearts can be rest.
Togwe Boboji went ahead to appeal for small factories to be set up for the people to enable them find something to live on, as their main source of livelihood has been cut off by the spillage. An opinion leader in the Bato traditional area also shares some details about the affected communities.
And the Agbetibo camp here is the second largest camp. We have 1,200 people currently at this camp. It's one of the 21 camps. The largest camp is in St. Kizito. It contains 1,500 people. The least camp among the 21 camps is 126. So you can imagine the seriousness of the incident that happened.
Companies like the Central Group, Goodness Energy, and Wilma Ghana are among the latest to show love to the affected communities. The Central Group donated assorted items and 1,000 bags of cement and a cash amount of 40,000 cedis to the displaced communities in the Southern District. Goodness Energy, on its part, provided assorted food items including sugar, rice, gari, maize, beans, amounting to 300,000 cedis to the affected communities in the Anglo District. Meanwhile, Wilma Ghana also donated various items including rice, oil, margarine, some detergent, among some assorted items to the Aflau and Mepe communities. For Joy News, my name is Elvis Washington, reporting from the Volta region, Mepe.
And the aftermath of same. What is the latest? Well, we are joined now by Mr. Seji Saji Amedonu, and he is Deputy Director General of Technical Reforms at Nadmo. A very good morning to you, sir. All right, so we'll try to work the lines to get Mr. Seji Saji Amedonu connecting with us. Of course, we would like to know what the latest is on that situation. We've seen the work that the VRA has commenced, among others, but what is Nadmo up to? Mr. Amedonu, a very good morning to you.
Good morning.
It's really good to have you join the conversation. I'll just go straight to it. What is the latest as far as Nadmo's work along the Volta Lake is concerned in respect of these affected communities? What updates can you give us?
Thank you very much, and good morning to your cherished viewers too as well. We are at the recovery stage now. As you are well aware, spillage has stopped about a week ago, and we are trying as much as possible to bring back to normal the state in which the people were before the incident happened. And in our line of work, that's the recovery stage. We have some issues to deal with, issues with education and issues with some stagnant water still in the communities. We are still working on that. You are aware that most of our safe havens are classroom blocks, so educational activities had come to a halt in quite a number of those schools. We have succeeded to a large extent in Central Town to restore back education activities. The only thing left is that we have some few tents now. As soon as that is erected, maybe by close of day tomorrow, all schools in Central Town will be in session. The challenge is in North Town. We may be able to start something maybe next week. We are hoping that we have some few tents we will erect that can be used as temporary classroom blocks for now. For the issue of the water, we've been able to create some channels for those stagnant water to start receding back into the river. Apart from that, there is a team coming in tomorrow to start some assessment. It's EPA and structural assessment. It's a team from the UN Interagency Working Group that includes the Ghana Institute of Engineers, EPA, VRA, Nadmo itself. They'll be doing some assessment to ascertain what exactly are we dealing with when it comes to the issue of decontamination, disinfection, and fumigation. And they'll be looking at the structural integrity of some of the structures. When this is completed, some fumigation had gone on already, and how to move the people back to their houses so that the classroom blocks will be free for learning and teaching to begin. So, in a summary, this is what we are looking at in most of the districts that we recorded affected persons. We don't have too much challenge in Lower Manya, too much challenge in Sujaman. Our challenges are where we have the safe havens, which are 4 districts. That is North Town, Central Town, Shai Usuduku, the Esuchari side of the Shai Usuduku, then Adan itself.
Now, you've spoken about disinfection, fumigation. The VRA had already started something on that level, as well as the structural integrity of some of the edifices there. As of now, is there anything you can report on that, even in anticipating what will be done?
Oh no, what has happened is the fumigation. It's only the fumigation that has happened. It started even when the situation was unfolding. Zumia Lion came in to fumigate all the safe havens. But after that, when the water started receding, the places that the water had completely receded, some fumigation has gone on, and that is what you just referred to. But if you know the situation very well, this is flooding that flooded the whole community, and the kind of facilities in those communities, including some places, even a whole cemetery was flooded. The people around here use a lot of pit latrines. That is also flooded. We need to actually ascertain what kind of hazards can be posed to the people if they return. And that can only be ascertained through an assessment. And that is what is going to happen now from tomorrow.
Now, you spoke about bringing to normal how the people were living, restoring normalcy in terms of how they were before this flooding or the spillage happened. How long do you project that would take, looking at how bad the situation is? You've already mentioned the structural integrity of the buildings and also the health hazards that could be posed. Are there any timelines? Do you have any idea as of now how much longer this is going to take?
Well, that will be a bit difficult, but it is a process. As I mentioned to you, for a place like Central Town, in the aspect of education, to a large extent, things are becoming a bit normal. And so that is how it is going to go in all the other sectors, that it will take some time, but we are working very hard to make sure that as soon as possible, things will return to normal.
As people of goodwill, as government, organizations, corporate organizations and others have donated massively because government has not been able as well to foot the entirety of the bill. One thing that has come to bear, people are donating food and drink and other items, but sanitary towels, sanitary pads for our young girls, the monthly cycle doesn't stop because a disaster has happened. So a lot of the young girls, school-going age among others, are going through this process, and a lot of them were complaining that they didn't have the right, they had to improvise, and for some of them it wasn't working. Have you, as Nadmo, looked at that angle? Have you received any supplies you've been able to share to the young girls in these communities?
Yeah, thank you. The complaint you just mentioned of came up when the situation started and was unfolding. In our line of work, as we assess the situation, when the needs come up, we quickly mobilize to address those needs. As we speak, there's a lot of those items in the system provided by both government and private individuals and philanthropists who are donating. Because what happens is that as you put out the needs, the individuals, organizations and companies or philanthropists who want to donate, some of them get in touch to find out what are the needs. And as you get them the needs, they try to provide.
Mr. Saji, okay. We lost you briefly, but please go ahead. We lost you briefly. Please go ahead.
So just this weekend, an organization like Child Rights International went through all the safe havens and provided sanitary towels, pads, and all those things to young girls. So it's very much a need in all the safe havens. But I mean, before even the situation ended, the spillage ended, we have started addressing those things. And that is also continuing until such a time that we get them back to their houses.
In terms of logistics, resources, is Nadmo faring any better now in terms of the deliverables to the people?
Yes, to a large extent, yes. We started our response effort in collaboration with VRA. And this has continued up to the point when other organizations and individuals came in to support. But as we even speak, agencies of government, ministries of government are also coming in with supplies to assist the relief administration. So that is quite going on well in general.
Right before we have you take your leave of us, so what next as far as Nadmo is concerned? What can we expect in the coming days, in the course of this week, as far as your activity in these communities? You mentioned some of them, the Shayo Sudoku area, among others. What can we expect?
Well, there's a lot of some projects going on by some individuals to also assist. We took delivery of some tents, quite sizable tents yesterday. What we'll be doing is to try and get those tents to some of the schools and use them as temporary classroom blocks where the kids can start their education can continue whilst the classrooms are still used as safe havens. That is mostly for North Town. But as I said, there are two teams. We are having a household registry too. IOM is also leading a team this week to do a household registration of every person affected. In planning, you need a lot of data and accurate data. So we are now working towards getting accurate data in terms of putting names and other information. As for the total general statistics that we already put out of 39,333 as the affected persons still remains the same. North Town as the hardest hit, Central Town to Lower Manya, which is the least hit. We have that data, even in a disaggregated manner. We have that of male, female, the physically disabled, children, we have all that. The education sector too, we have data on those who, as a result of the incident, are not in classrooms as they should be now. So this week, we are trying hard. As I said, we are at the recovering stage. And for the recovery stage, is bringing back all facilities. Some road networks too have issues. We are also looking at that too. and the stagnant water in some of the community, how we can get it out. We got quite a lot of them out last week. We still have some more to work on getting out. And we are hopeful that getting into next week, we should be able to bring back to a large extent some normalcy in these areas.
Well, thank you so much, sir, for joining the conversation. Mr. Seji Saji Amedonu, the Deputy Director General of Technical and Reforms at Nadmo. We're grateful, sir, for your time.
Thank you.
So as we get ready to cap off the show, I would like to read some comments to you. We put this up on social media on Facebook. Let's work together to break the 8. That's Bawumia telling the NPP. But we asked, can Dr. Bawumia lead the NPP to break the 8? Some of you shared your thoughts. Let's take a quick look at them. Kodima Muniru says his promises will let him fall. JM Afa. Elvis says surely he will win. Asamoah Kweku says Fala victory against John Dramani Mahama. Joseph La says opposition leader. But let me go to some others that break it down a bit. Nana Opon Ashanti says the top party officials are satisfied financially, but secretly to all the party members to keep it a secret, make sure Bawumia wins. But that's not what will serve the people. Okay. Then Semabia Emmanuel says the most lazy vice president Ghana has ever had. Okay, so your opinion. Kweku Jemfi Kumanini says the question is, are we ready to give President Akufo-Addo another 4 years? If no, then Bawumia can't, because if Bawumia comes, it's Akufo-Addo who's still ruling. This one, Pachin Nawabala says, breaking the AE, that's what he says. And he has a heartbreak emoji there. I see Joe Frimpong comparing and contrasting Mahama versus Dr. Bawumia in terms of their performance. And the caption is, vote wisely on December the 7th, 2024. This is the final one I'll look at. There are so many, and thank you all for your responses, but I'll take this final one. Warisu Abdul Salam says, which 8 are they even breaking? They will not even get 40% in 2024 come December. Okay, so the verdict is out. In the end, it's not one person. I can't sit here and say who will win. It's not the other person. It's all of us put together who will decide who wins election 2024. Before I celebrate one person whose birthday I got, let me just let you know, the 2023 EcoBank Joy News Habitat Fair is more than just an exhibition. It's the gateway to your dream home. The EcoBank Joy News Habitat Fair is in partnership with EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank, empowered by the planned city extension project from Cities and Habitats Rent to Own. It is also sponsored by Elegant Homes and General Constructions Limited, where quality meets value. Global Lighting, your solution to quality lighting. Syntex Tank, a strong, a tough. Gold Key Properties, building prestige since 1997. Springfield Estates, where dreams are built. Virtual Security Africa, complete security solutions. DBS, your roofing experts. Virtual InfoSec Africa, security solutions by design. Saint-Gobain, making the world a better place. Clifton Homes, beautiful homes, wise investments. And the Kensington Heights, Airport City Kumasi by HDG Homes Limited. Well, we also know your favorite TV game show in Ghana. Step Up is back with another amazing season. Guess what? This time, we're stepping up with Syntex Tank. Step Up with Syntex Tank will see contestants answer trivia questions to win cash prizes of between 400 and 6,000 Ghana cedis weekly and other products from our sponsors. Now, this season, you, viewing at home, should watch out for the Syntex Tank question of the week. Be the first to answer correctly via WhatsApp or SMS to the number 0508 338 888 and win incredible prizes from sponsors. Now, the person who answers most of the weekly questions the fastest gets a 65-inch Samsung television at the end of the season. I'm jealous. Step Up with Syntex Tank, a unique television experience. Step Up with Syntex Tank is sponsored by Bell Ice, MTN Momo, and Angel Cola. Now, just remember, no matter your water needs, Syntex Tank has it all. Syntex Tank is first to introduce double-layer tanks, and now you can have as many layers as you want. Syntex Tank has been the first to introduce white inner layer tanks in Ghana, and now they're introducing to you the customer specifications order, which lets you order any color and size of your preference. Now, they have agents nationwide. You can just call them on 0244 335 168 or shop online at syntexgh.com. Remember, Syntex tank, are strong, are tough. That's what they are telling you. Well, we are at the point where we are capping off the show. It is my hope that you've enjoyed the show today. Let's celebrate Damien Ekufu. Now, Damien Ekufu Ashanti of Happy Royal International School in Oyarefa. Today happens to be your birthday. It's from your parents, Victor and Vincentia Ashanti, and your siblings, Tiffany and Kelvin. And so to you, Damien Ekufu Ashanti, I don't know your age today, but happy birthday to you. God keep you. God bless you. My prayer at the start of the day was from 1 Chronicles 4 verse 10. May the Lord enlarge your territory. May he hold you with his arm, and may he make you prosper in everything you do. And that's from us to you as well if you're celebrating your birthday or any special anniversary today. My name is Benjamin Akakbo, and I hope you've enjoyed your time with me this morning. Let's do it again, same time tomorrow morning. But for now, we'll leave you in the hands of Aisha Ibrahim, who comes your way next with Joy News Desk.